and seek no new. If you be well pleased with this, hold your fortune for your bliss. Turn you where your lady is, and claim her with a loving kiss. You know,
the best poets make great lovers.
Love it.
I tell you.
You'll
be surprised.
You well, on the face of it,
you go shock.
We don't know what happens behind closed doors.
You go shock.
But on the face of it.
It has its own pros and cons.
Oh, Chief Mumin has said a thing.
I was just the one that I said I like superstar.
Okay.
Maybe
you let the poet read it.
Yeah, let a poet read it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm going to let you read over it,
Okay.
and then you will read it. Let me just tell you about the 7th.
Blow, please drink water.
Okay, let me tell you, please, about the 70th anniversary of Graphic. So, what does 70 years mean to you? Old and past its prime? Well, for us at Graphic, it's a celebration of 7 decades of excellence, rich experiences with great achievements, and we've done it all together with you, our readers, our advertisers, clients, agencies, partners, regulator, suppliers, and the entire nation. Graphic Communications Ghana Limited is 70 years old, and we're thankful to God and to you. Come celebrate with us. Truth and accuracy every day. You know, everything is better on a brand new smartphone, right? Your pictures look better, your battery lasts longer, and your swag just is so. Just say, Uber Razy will level and kasa. So how about getting the new phone from MTN? This new decade, get with the times. And it's so simple. You do more on your phone, and you win a sleek iPro 5S. No lucky draw, just talk more, text more, win one of our over 20,000 brand new iPro 5S phones. This year, dear, raise your level kakra. Just dial *120*1# to register today. We are good together, and that's why we day for you everywhere you go. And dear parents and guardians, the Joy Learning program is intensifying teaching and learning lessons in these times, as the reported COVID-19 cases in Ghana has compelled schools to close down. Kindly tune your television to Joy Channel, the Joy Learning Channel, and access our classroom lessons and other educational programs. We can assure you, with Joy Learning, your children will not be left behind in classroom lessons while they are at home. Joy Learning is good, the education is secured, it's convenient, and it's easily accessible to you everywhere you are. So just get a multi-TV digibox for your kids now. Joy Learning, keep learning. Alright, let's go over to the Poets Corner. Charlie, they've opened books and all. Chief Mumin, I'm sorry, George, did you publish the poem in a book?
No, it's on my blog.
It's on my blog actually,
okay.
georgequaye.blogspot.com.
There's an interesting picture at the back of your book, Chief.
It's actually not my book. This is one of the newest publications from one of our young, brave and strong voices called Victoriana Takianunu. Interesting, a lot of our ladies are publishing. Ashorkor published her Midnight Verse.
She did.
Poetry has her own book out, you know, and Natakia. So the ladies actually in the poetry scene are doing well.
Yeah.
And since this month is also International Women's Month, we want to shout out to all of them.
It is.
But this is George Quaye's poem.
All right, let's listen. Do you need some music in the background?
No.
Okay, I would have sung along.
He was writing in Quaye pentameter.
Thank you very much.
Superstar. I arrive at Rockstone's office in my stretch limousine. At the door are the bouncers, all handsome and mean. The red carpets are washed with the press. My driver assures me that I look a mess. I don't look a mess.
But
I emerge from the limo, a true superstar. Blow a kiss to my fans, whoever they are. I stop to pose for a photo a minute. The fans all screaming they want to be in it. Once inside, I sip gin and tonic. I kiss Irene, but it's purely platonic. I mingle around and seize my moment. I must ask Nadia to give me a dance. I chat to KKD who's drinking iced tea, but Ifya just can't keep her eyes off me, and now she's coming, drawing nearer, closer to me. Looks like a kiss, and that's fine by me. I feel the tense, but I must stay cool. Then my kid brother shouts, "Wake up, George!
I'm late for school."
Oh, well, that's a really nice piece. I have read it. I believe,
a long time ago.
A couple of times. Yeah. Nice one.
Thank you.
You see, to be a good poet, you must be a little bit bad. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
We're
just a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to listen. I love poetry. I fell in love with poetry in Benkum Secondary School, and when I took my literature lessons, and on our course outline, we had about 9 poems we had to memorize.
Oh, wow.
And I memorized all the poems and came to class and realized that just one other girl had. Her name is Faustina Nkansa. The rest of the class had no interest in it, and I wondered why.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it occurred to me that okay, if everyone is not loving it the way they ought to, then perhaps I have a special liking for it.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the poems?
Oh yes, so many of them. So there's this one, An Abandoned Bundle.
Okay.
You should know the Abandoned Bundle. We were in school at about the same time.
Okay, yeah.
The morning mist and the chimney smoke of White City Jabavu flows thick yellow as past oozing from a gigantic sword. You don't know.
Yeah, try a line.
Oh.
This promises to be.
This is just one of.
I remember a couple of my Shakespeare too, like I was quoting. You know, may I also quote from Julius Caesar?
Yes.
That's right.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar and not to praise him. The evil that men lives after them, the good is often interred in their bones. So let it be with Caesar.
So tell you what, if you love poetry, you want to keep your dial locked, we're going to have these conversations or this conversation till about 3:30, and then George Quaye will take over with a continuation of last week's conversation on the various associations in the Arts Council.
Yes.
They
are all in court. I don't know what they are doing.
You mean we are all in court? They are all in court. Who are the days? You are not part.
Jupiter.
I tell you who's not in court. Who's not in court.
Who's not in court?
The Ghana Association of Poets.
No, we are here.
We are here. And today's our day. So, Rhyme Sonny, what's the importance, would you say, of poetry in our lives?
All right, so...
Wait. I did the wrong thing. We have a lady here we should say hello to. We haven't heard her voice. Hello, Stephanie.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing great, and you?
I'm great too. I like your accent. Are you from around here?
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about yourself.
So I'm from the UK.
Okay.
And my poetry is literally my passion. I've been writing since I was young, and it was a way for me to express. I wasn't very vocal when I was young, but I always turned to my diary, which was my best friend, and through that I'll write, and it got to a stage that I thought I need to take the words out of the book onto the stage, and I started creating poems just to encourage and inspire others not to give up on their dreams.
Oh, so you write inspirational poems?
Yes.
Not dreamy ones like George Quaye.
No.
Okay. All right, back to you, Rhyme Sonny.
Yeah, so when we talk about essence of poetry, it's one of the ways that I use them is a tool for expressing myself, and anybody can use that as a tool. And when we look at the past, our oral tradition, we've used poetry as that tool to pass on historic events, morals, and a lot of other things into the next generation. So poetry is one of the tools that we can use to document history and also share morals, warn people, use it in different forms as an expressive way in any other form that we can.
It's part of our language.
Yes.
It's basically how we transfer or transmit, if you like, information or a story from one generation to another. I remember some poems that we were taught in GSS, mostly in the local language. Did you guys do local language poems?
Yes, we do.
George Quaye, did you go to school in Accra?
Association International, the closest school to the airport. We didn't do local language.
And you are why are you saying that with pride?
It's not
you
pride.
Didn't do local language.
No, we didn't.
And you think it's a cool
We
thing?
were reading Salas Mana, George Eliot, and stuff like that. We didn't even do Fox. Those ones I heard it from. I was living in Kutu, so I heard it from the schools around.
The area.
Yeah. Going through the box.
No.
Why?
Because
and too big.
I tell you a story. A boy came home one day and asked his father, "Daddy, are you a lion?" And his father said, "No, why?" He said, "Because you have a small waist and a very big head." You don't know the poem?
I know. A lion has a tail.
He has a big head.
Anytime I hear that poem, I feel like it's like you're looking at Philip Nye.
Okay, Chief Moment.
Yes.
What does poetry mean to you?
I mean, poetry essentially is humanity, because poetry is expression. You know, Wordsworth would say the powerful overflow of something emotions, right? Yep. So for me, poetry is at the essence of our humanity. As an African poetry is our language. If you listen to a lot of African languages, the proverbs, the intonation, the rhythms of the language. If you go to the court and you are listening to the chief or the linguist speaking, even when your grandmother or your grandfather is speaking to you, and you rightly also said that for Africans, oral history has been one of the most important ways that we handed over information from generation to generation.
Yeah.
So you talk about the griot, those whose tongues are heavy and carry on ancestral wisdom from generation to generation. So for me, poetry really is at the heart of our humanity, is the expression of, I see poetry as one of the first art forms, before it evolved into music. And at the foundation of music, good music, is really the lyrics, it's really the words, and of course the melody, and the words is poetry. So for me, poetry is just an intense form of communication expression, and for us as Africans, it also serves as a way of passing down knowledge, traditions, and heritage from generations to generations.
Chief, have you always spoken like this?
Well, now you
sound very poetic. like is it poetic? I mean, like rhythmic?
Oh no, it depends on when I'm talking about poetry. I sound
no. You
poetic.
always talk like that.
But in some
even when you're talking about the economy.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you heard him speak about this money they didn't pay you?
So that's a different matter. All of the music goes away. All right, Stephanie, you just told us a bit, but can you tell us more about what poetry means to you?
Just echoing to what they both just said, I think with poetry, it's a form of expression. It's like you can take people on a journey with poetry, whether it's in the past, in the future, and that's what I love about poetry. And another thing that I would say, it's sometimes I say that everyone is a poet in them, because sometimes someone can just say a few words or just how they're feeling on a day-to-day basis, and you realize, okay, they don't know that they're a poet. Like, I always say everyone's a poet in them, but there's some people who choose to pursue and maybe master their craft with the rhymes or the tone. So poetry is beautiful.
It is.
It is.
It is. Your voice is so soothing. Judge Quaye. I know you love poetry. From your days back at definitely not Association International, but from the School of Performing Arts, I used to come watch you on stage when I was
when you were admiring
a little girl.
You just came to spy me.
I was a little girl.
Okay. You've had a crush on me for too long.
I used to wonder why do we have children acting at a university? And then I found that you were a fully grown man. What does poetry mean to you?
Big things comes in.
Small package.
Don't mind her. You know why? Her crush on me was so big, she married a Muba. When she couldn't have me. It was so big. Anyway, we'll discuss that one another time. Poetry for me was an escape. When you wanted to say things you didn't really have the guts to say to the face of people, you put it in poetry, and then you hid under the literature to say, no, I'm just expressing myself. Through poetry, you could insult people and have them appreciate it without realizing that you're insulting them. Through poetry, you could tell a girl your deepest feelings, even when you didn't have the guts to. Through poetry, I could speak about any and everything to the rest of the world when I didn't need to, I didn't want to, I didn't have to. And, for me, for instance, poetry, initially I thought I would be a rapper. Okay. When I was following a gentleman called Fred Akoa, who turned 40 this week and had a beautiful party last night. Happy birthday, man. Yeah.
How many people were at the party?
Just about 20. Okay. It was very, very private, very small. Yeah, very small. So poetry and rap, people define rap as rhythmic African poetry. And when you listen to very, very good rappers, for me, the best rapper that ever lived, Tupac. People say it's Biggie, they can go find a transformer and hug. I think it is Tupac. And any good poet would agree with me. Yep. If you don't agree that Tupac was the best rapper that ever lived, then you don't understand poetry. When you look at the works of Tupac, you'd appreciate everything. He had every element, the metaphors, the similes, the assonances, the alliterations, you name it, anything. He had the wit was there. He had, all the tact, everything that made his works beautiful. They were all in there. And for me, it gives us an opportunity to say things that would usually not have the guts to say. That, for me, is the most beautiful thing about poetry. You could speak to any and everybody. If you look at the works of Shakespeare and you look at the time in which he wrote them, you would appreciate that man even more as one of the greatest lyricists that ever lived. Best of all time, you know. And he spoke politics, he spoke religion, he spoke
love,
everything. He spoke love, you know. And someone once wrote a poem. Let me just give me 1 second, if I can find it.
While you pull that up, do you guys think that, you know, with all the beauty we have described poetry to be, we have celebrated it enough in this country? I mean, we've said, well, that's how we tell our story, that's how we say things we cannot say. It's in our music, it's in our literature, our film, etc. Do we appreciate poets or poetry or spoken words? What's even the difference, first of all, between poetry and spoken words, if there's a difference in this country?
Well, so let me just give I mean, there are different forms of poetry, right? Okay. So for us, there's performance poetry, something that we actively do, myself and other people here. There's poetry that people write for the page. So there's poetry for the stage and the poetry for the page. There are some people who
poetry for the girls.
There are some people who don't necessarily perform their poems. Okay. It's just that now in our contemporary environment, when people hear about poets, they think about the likes of myself and maybe Nana Sasi, poetry, and what's his name, right? But there are a lot of poets in our society, some of whom have published that we haven't heard of. In fact, even if we go back into our history, we've had the likes of Kofi Awono, Anyidoho, Amaitadi. These are all people who have published academic work that has been appreciated over the time. So we can talk about poetry that people write for the page. We can talk about poetry that people write for the stage. When you're writing for the stage, because you are writing with a performance in mind, you are thinking about how to write in such a way that you are performing it, people can hear, understand what you're saying, and get the feeling out of it. But at the end of the day, it's still the same expression. But I always want people to understand that poetry runs deeper than just probably the spoken word that some people might be familiar with today, because we've made it more accessible.
Yes, it appears to be the way of the young poets, spoken words, right?
Yes, so spoken word is basically writing the poem and then putting it back on stage. But whilst you're on stage, it should contain some kind of... So whilst you're on stage, you should know about the audiences and how to deliver it to them. So the rhythms and the form and everything should come into play. That's separate spoken word, slightly different from poem, but it is under the umbrella of the bigger picture of poetry.
Which one has the music?
Poetry can have music, spoken word can have music. Yes.
Okay.
What poets are doing currently is riding on the different art forms, especially with music, with painting, with drama, with with dance, any other art form that we can get hold of. Okay. Poets are using, we are riding on them, because poetry is the first phase of every art form.
Okay.
From film to music to painting, everything you visualize, and then you put the thoughts to them. And poetry is at that stage, the center of all the other art form.
The distinctive phrase that we call, how do you call it, spoken word. Yes. We can trace the origin of that distinctive phrase from... First of all, we have the oral part of it, but I'm talking about what evolved in the United States during the civil rights movement. So it became like a popularized art form. That's the spoken word. But in our cultures, we have spoken word already.
It originated from the USA.
Like what the contemporary understanding, when we talk about spoken word now, it really originated in the 60s with people like the last poets who were using spoken word as, in fact, they were even the bedrock of hip hop that we know today. Okay. But the idea of performance poetry has always been with us, and it's intrinsic to our way of life and our expression and our culture. But the art form that has come, the genre that the name spoken word as we know it has its origins in the 60s. But really, spoken word is a form of performance poetry. And these days, you can even say spoken word in place of performance poetry. As you know it.
You know, while you were talking, I was just thinking back to what the gong beaters, for example, would do when they come out to announce or whatever, or the town criers, or those are beats the phantom from. When you listen to like Odumankuma Boade or Bombori Boade, so it sounds like it sounds like spoken word.
Enter a royal a palace or something and listen to the linguists.
Yeah.
Those are the best poets we have in our community. Those linguists, the florid language they use, and all those things. And the linguists for me. And sometimes when you go to recently I had a meeting with the paramount chief of Nungwa traditional area, Neo Daifio Walenchi II. Okay. And when you go there and they're talking, there's Anochame, and before they start anything, Dodo, Cha, Umaniaba, Yao, Wagbiafiko me, then Wanui, say Yao, and all that, and then they will come and then they start. Then let's put those ones aside, those that pour the libations. Oh my God.
Look at that.
Those that pour the libations.
Oh
yeah, and then
I'm from the royal family. I don't want to say something.
Anything before you get possessed. And for me, I think we have a lot of poetry in our society that we haven't appreciated enough. We haven't looked at enough. We haven't considered enough. We haven't even documented enough. Some of all these things, all these people, we haven't even looked at them. I don't think anybody has ever tried to even capture them on film and classify it as some sort of poetry, because there are various types. There are over 50 types of poems. There are free verses, like there are epic poems, there are sonnets.
Yum the poet.
No, I'm mentioning George Quaye. Someone like Kofi Anyodo who has done a lot of work.
Okay.
Well, that's true. That's true.
And they've been trying to bridge the gap between our oral tradition and more or less like the academic space. So if you listen to even Atuko kind of late, all of them draw inspirations from that, oratory that is intrinsic to our cultures. And for someone like I sat in the class of Professor Anyido, he's one of the greatest African poets ever. Yeah. And one of the things that he would tell us is that we need to go back to our indigenous language and discover the treasures therein. And so someone like Nana Asasi, if he performs in Quaye, it is so beautiful and so impeccable. Rhymesoni himself, in fact, you should even stop the English and start doing
I was just listening to the greatest of all time. There was a bit of Quaye, and we were talking, but then the moment the Quaye part of the performance, it just caught my attention.
Okay, so everywhere language. Poetry is not English. Poetry is language. And everywhere that and our language gives us identity. So I try to infuse the local dialect into every kind of poem that I do. And particularly if I'm outside the country or I'm in any foreign land, the first point of contact is my language. And I start my poems by introducing myself in the language that I'm comfortable in. And after that, it does the magic. People just come and ask you, where are you from? What did you say? And they get to understand who you are, and then you sell your brand to them.
Lovely.
Chino Achebe, the great. Sorry, nice. I have to add this. Okay. He says that when there was great debate about whether you can write African literature using English and whether African literature written in English can be truly described as African. There was this whole debate between Chino Achebe and Ngugi wa Thiong'o. And Chino Achebe said that you can use English in such a way that it mimics the rhythms, of your traditional language. So when you read a book like Things Fall Apart, you are reading English, but you are hearing Igbo. So there's also a way that even though because of the nature of our colonialism and how we have adopted English as a formal language, but there's still a way that you can use English in such a way in literature that mimics the language that you use. So that whenever I perform and people say, hey, this guy, you chalo tibrofo, I tell them, I just say me tibrofo. But eloquency is not necessarily in the language. Yes. In the English, Eloquency is beyond that. It's a feeling that emanates even from who you are as a person. So even though I may be speaking English impeccably, I'm speaking English with the rhythms and with the passions that is intrinsic to my mother tongue. If you go to the north and you listen to the griot when they sing, the power in their voices. Yes.
Savannah love.
I think it's so yes, I just want to emphasize that we can use local language.
What did you just say?
But can you translate?
Because the last time you shouted in this studio, we ended up.
This is actually a song from a story. Okay. So I'm just saying that even though we may not all be as competent in our mother tongues, like people because I can do full poetry in my mother tongue because I was born in Accra here, going to school, learning English and all of it. Even though I can speak my mother tongue, to use your language in a formal setting, it requires some competence. So the way I mitigate it is that in the poetry that I write, I try to capture the essence of my mother tongue in it. So I would sing and I would do things, and it will not sound. You might be hearing English, but you are hearing my mother tongue.
Chief, you're such a performer. It's like you just captivated. I'm sure. Well, shout out to all of you listening. You can be a part of this show by WhatsApping us on 0244-340-437. I am very certain that if anyone was listening and doing something else, you absolutely caught their attention and they stopped whatever they were doing. And even though we don't understand, I enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed it. And that's a mark of a true performer. How about you, Stephanie? Do you think that we are appreciating poetry enough?
I think it's a journey. With poetry, it's a journey that it's an art that is growing, and I think when people don't really understand the art, they find it hard to appreciate it. But as time nowadays, you see different kind of poets. You have people who rap. You have people who read. So it's now people. I think poetry is now becoming more, I think, popular, and people are even using like adverts, TV adverts, campaigns, and poetry is being fused into many different places. So I think poetry is growing, and with time, it will be appreciated by a lot.
And I also feel over here, and well, just like a lot of creatives all over the world, sometimes people even have a talent they don't understand.
Yep.
There are people who, a lot of our spoken word artists that we have around, a lot of them, what they do, and if you're classifying it under types of poetry, you'd put it under free verse. But when you speak to them, a lot of them probably don't know. They just believe they have the talent, so they just do it.
Just go with
For a lot of
flow.
them, it just comes to them naturally. They probably don't even understand it. I would rather entreat everybody, since we're celebrating poetry today, try to understand what you do. You understand? For everything that we do, there's a theory to it. And if people would try to understand the theory behind what it is they're doing, I think it would broaden your knowledge a bit better, because talent is like unrefined gold. It is like unpolished. It's like raw cocoa. You need to refine it to make a chocolate. You understand? So I would entreat every poet out there, everybody out there who believes you've got the knack, you've got the talent and everything. Read the books. You don't need to even go to school. You can educate yourself online. When you just Google types of poems online, you'd be surprised. You'd be amazed at the numbers that you'd find. You understand? On there. And you can educate yourself. And yeah, I think I'll just entreat everybody out there. Because we have so many spoken word artists out there who probably don't even know the kind of poetry they do.
I'd like to hear from you if you're a spoken word act out there listening to us. 0244-340-437 is the number to reach us on via WhatsApp. 0244-340-437. In the meantime, how about we listen to some good poetry from
poets? So that those who are not spoken word, but they still write. Okay. This is a generic term.
Okay, so if you're a poet,
whether you write,
whether you write,
perform and all that,
whether you perform,
whether you read.
Whether you read, there are some also perform by reading.
Whether you do it inwardly.
And the thing,
George, let's listen to the poem.
Oh, there's a poem.
Yes, we'll be back. So listen to this one and we'll talk about it in a moment.
What to insurance you go me so me ho afo. Me kruwa ayama ebru so. Wama me so wama mabaso wo do nsa ato me so. Enu nti se me da sori anopa free me mpa so a. Me bu nkotodwe na me di me tira to mpa ne so. Abompa ya da wasi ya ja wo soro. Udi ho koso ante wo hinye brasa so. Upenya wo se dia opeye wo soro. Wana wo pema hwiase ne papa. Mane mo won tri so. Fi se wo refi se eye wa. Wana wo ma me sufra me na me sin konkon so. Eye wa. Wana wo yimi fra tuchem me si be poso. O kai me bre me hu fifre. If you have been pipe on up to be brave, or be a break, I actually go to trade. Send for some of my swa, just your cotomia, and as your marry. Abrabomu, Namari, dear Medina Cofane, Mambo Blue Namari, Michea Qua, Dying Callan Bois, or Brother so woman said that we were nice, meaning Pabua, Minam Dade, Minsam Pabua. We should have me that, me here and moi, Mikasa. Boy, yes, me yesterday, Amache, Bebrebe, and I'm penning so much to Bebreba, my Ponchache, and it's Miss Soriano Pa. Good morning, Marche, the Marche Cocanchis, a Dutchman's Mare Cratchy, the Cratchy Canchia, no Pasochin and Dachi, the Peninsular Passayacasia, wherever the Potier, and it's Pogia say, the Soriano Machito Bunch of Yasache, Sadiabachi, and in Nashi. Which I say? Obre my bre papa, wash my pump mu papa. As me trusin ya huapa, she oblanos mommy come papa. So me catch me also mama to me dear, men papa. Ya kasa me kebi ya kwa me kombi, me kasa mo sisi sabi sabi. Never come my dani. Ya de wa mama tamfwe we gwase. Kasa min kabi ya kwa mi kobi me kasa omusi gisa me tu sabi ni nyina ne sen omusi min ka o mi yo free enso mi kasa yo moni bebia me free ati amafam se ye wan ka gya woni su free di pada sani sheda sisa nu gwatia maame madwiri omusi sha kwanhia maame mehwiri insura ka na me sadia me obia ya me amedia manko free emi ti se me kakai da bia me free a ene mabedu ha na mani atatai se na ye dura kamu nyina be hu se me na se atatai esunya me adaru man konwa nyina papai di otafu ne tare nyina awawai ani se majumai kame jatwo bi se maye ma fa mu die enso me kai manim ni suo ne manim siria nyina na ya rewo nyina na ya ni die twedi afọbọ die na mama kyade se me nkyade no ti se me kyawade na wo de be nyankoma die atia me a men kan tenten ti salanchre motin mo ma me twani ti ase na nado bi se mo nim ni kasa manu ato intimi pa mini yana me da sumona so never come my day 99.7 FM. Yeah, they want mama tamfwe we gwase. Mona woni. Titi. The para we. Odasani yenkum nipa asan ya sei no. Nyame ahira no. Osei for ye den wa sei no. Nyame na anwene me. Odmatu ni gem no abene me. Ti wuti me ho asem a me nsi ohwene. Me ho asem mbone. Me ho asem. Masem nie. Rhyme Sonny. Okay.
Hey! Oh, applaudissez tout le monde. What a wow! Mucha
I have a protest. I have a protest.
What's your protest?
How dare you say Mucha? You see, we don't like that.
You are who?
It's imagery.
You see, Nanado is
who is imagining?
Wow,
how dare you use our president as a metaphor?
In case you're wondering what's happening, today is World Poetry Day, and we the lovers of poetry, Philip Nye and myself, are happy to host the very best of poets of our time here in the studios. We've got Rhyme Sonny in the studios, we've got Cheap Woman in the studios, we've got George _Quaye in the studios, and Stephanie all the way from the UK.
George Quaye.
Short. I said George Quaye. That would have been better.
I know, right?
That would have been safer.
You could have been featured nicely.
When you are performing,
depending on
you look at
the place you are. You look at the security apparatus around. Then you swallow, look around.
You say, a lot of times that I've paused at that point.
You will pause.
No.
But I really like how you make it relatable to you. You said some things about your bald head, and you even said, maybe I don't know, Charlie, my tree there somewhere.
Almost me free. In some money, baby, I'm free.
Charlie, that's a beautiful use of language. Anyway, if you're listening to us and you are a poet, would like you to call in and share your work with us. 02, I beg your pardon, 0302 216541. 0302 216541. If you call and you start talking about a lion has a tail, you will grow a tail. or when you see the
local
like,
dialect too, because our languages are very, very
I have a local poem.
Is it in Ga?
It's in Ga. It's not my poem.
Okay.
I'm sure most of you know it.
Okay.
It's one of the poems. Well, you went to association, right?
I wouldn't know.
So you wouldn't know it.
No.
I went to Dallas Preparatory School at Tertiary Blow, Dar es
Did you
Salaam.
go to association when it was an international site?
It's always been an international.
I like this station. George Quaye,
and the government.
speak the truth.
I was an association international.
You know, so wait, let's leave this matter. Let's leave this matter.
And now it is back to private hands.
It is still a school.
Ashorkor, let's hear the gap.
You let's stop the school debate for a moment. Because people are texting in about association. We don't want problems.
Let's associate.
All right, we've got a caller on the line. Let's hear them. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. What's your name, sir?
I'm Yao.
Yao, are you a poet?
Sorry?
Are you a poet?
I would say so.
Have you got a poem to share?
Yes, I have.
Awesome. You're on air.
My
All right,
poem
yeah.
is
Could you
entitled-
please turn down the volume on your radio set? We're getting some feedback in the studio.
Okay, I've
Thank
moved
you.
away from it.
Awesome. Thank you. You're live.
Okay. My poem is entitled To a Friend Departing. It goes something like this. Fretting, frantic, future phobia frazzles my feeble frame. Fragments of frozen memories defrost and flitter away fond fantasies. You, my friend, are fading into the future.
I'm sorry, I hate to cut in you, but there's a lot of wind or air in the phone. Are you outside?
Yes. I'm positioning myself.
Okay, please repost. I think it's better now.
Is it better?
Yes. Let's start over,
Okay.
shall we?
Okay.
Thank you.
To a friend departing. Fretting, frantic, future phobia frazzles my feeble frame. Fragments of frozen memories defrost and fritter away fond fantasies. You, my friend, are fading into the future. My heart faints to see your face in the future forge a fusion. And though my fingers find and fasten and fold your phalanges in mine, you fizzle into phantasm. However far you ferret, fated friends are we forever.
Wow. Wow. George Quaye.
Yes.
Chief Bowman.
Very poor.
Please, together, shall we give you a very big one?
And I like the way he translates here to say.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing with us. Hello, yeah. Are you there?
Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And that was a nice piece. Thank you. All right. You can also call us 0302216541. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi. What's your name, sir?
This is Yao V calling from Napa in the Volta.
Oh, another Yao. Okay. Do you have a poem in Ewe to share?
No, please, but I just want to make a quick comment.
Okay.
What I want to say is that, you see, those days, we have this poetry recitals, maybe during culture, when they organize culture for various schools in town. Even we have most of them in our textbook. But these days, please, when you open our textbooks, we have just unnecessary rhymes that you can't even memorize. So I'm just praising the poet in your studio. If you can come with the print aspect so that we sell to schools, or maybe we can Google them and read them. Because these days, the upcoming youth or generation, they don't know much about poetry. Maybe all they know is maybe watching these telenovelas. So I think it will be good. We'll bring back this poetry to the society for the upcoming youth or the generation.
Hello, Yao.
Now it's a very important point that Yao made.
Yeah.
And I just want to
I think we lost him on the line. I'm sorry, Yao. The call dropped.
There's been a lot of calls. A lot of the poems that nursery rhymes that we used to read back then, they didn't have any, relatability to our realities.
Yeah.
Snow White and even some of the storybooks that we used to read. And I know that there's been a review of our curriculum. I hope that some of the works that the young ones are now reading are more relatable. But those times, the lion and all of those things that we.
Oh, by the way, the lion still has a tail.
Okay, maybe.
very
But there were some that we were some rhymes, Peter Piper's. Well, those are rhymes.
Those ones were for training the tongue.
Yeah,
I know, but
for allocation.
use things that are more culturally relevant.
Of literary device.
Exactly.
Yes.
But that one, depending
on
on which school you attended, it would show. Like dropped it, I dropped it, I dropped.
Drop it, I drop it, I drop it,
I guess the most important point I'm making is that we have to create literature that is relevant to our realities, and our children shouldn't be reading Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs when we don't know.
Actually, Chief, I beg to differ. I beg to differ because I mentioned Silas Manor, George Orwell, Animal Farm, and all those books. These were the books.
All animals are equal.
These were the books I read at association. Then we also read The Narrow Path. We read some African writers series and all that. But we also read a lot of the foreign books. Our teachers encouraged us to read Enid Blyton and all those books. And it exposed us differently. If it did nothing at all, it helps shape your language.
Yes, I know. I don't disagree. Of course, we have to expose our children to a vast array of literature.
Exactly.
But the problem is that African literature is the exception and not the norm. So when you have normalized European literature over the years, then it's a particular mindset that you are orienting your children from the beginning. We have a problem in our society where we think everything European.
We need to find a perfect blend.
Well, I tell you what. In school, yes, I was addicted to the Goosebumps series, and I had everything from everyone that came out, and every Harry Potter book that came out, I had all of it, and I had all the books. But at home, my mother made it a point to teach us Ga music, teach us Ga poems. Every time the lights went out, we sat outside and we listened to Ga music, and my mom taught us. So my cousins and I, we know pretty much all the old Ga songs because we're taught at home. So I somehow I had a good blend of both. So perhaps we should also do this with our children and the younger ones at home.
We are facing an existential crisis
in the meantime,
where English is gradually eroding our local languages. Also, sometimes
we don't even speak local language with our children.
Because sometimes you find people from two different ethnic groups getting married, and the common language or the common tongue is English. So their children end up speaking only English. And these days, because we want our children to really learn how to speak English, we speak English to them at home. So gradually, if we do not begin to take very serious steps, we might end up eroding our own languages, and there has to be deliberate policy put in place, deliberate actions put in place to ensure that local languages feature in our schools, feature in our homes. And how do we do that? Well, it's a question for all of us to brood over, but it's a danger if we lose our mother tongue. We lose ourselves, we lose our identity. And
that's why I always give major shout outs to people like Wiala, to people like Sina Soul, who continue to make, they are young, they're in their 20s, but their music is good original local dialects from where they're from. So big ups to them. But Rasta just walked in. He just came out of quarantine. How are you feeling?
Rasta is quarantine up in the mountains.
How are you feeling?
I mean, it could have been worse.
I hear during your quiet time up there, you wrote a beautiful piece on your situation.
Yeah, and I'm actually I wish it were not themed on my situation, but rather the latest situation. I mean, Ghanaians, cross section of Ghanaians today gained independence, and we are still in celebration mood. Dreadlock wearing people. And
yes, I see.
So, Iron, even if it's a rumor. We've never had anything close to a rumor feature on major news portals telling us that decriminalization of the hemp and cannabis, What? I didn't kill anybody. I'm just recounting what I've read.
For industrial and health.
I was waiting for you to make a major announcement about dreadlocks.
But you didn't say waiting.
What's the correlation between dreadlocks and cannabis?
I beg your pardon.
What's the relationship between dreadlocks and we?
You should ask the policeman who was looking through my BK looking for weed.
What?
Yes. Yes. You should ask those who frisk us, take us out from buses, frisk us out of the lot of human beings on board, and then look for what I do not know. So persons like myself have been marginalized, have been discriminated against, have been insulted and belittled in this town forever, and nobody speaks for us. So we've grown to live with the pain that comes with that unfortunate situation, especially from the police and the very religious sect in this country. when we go abroad, we are not subjected to these things. We are seen as black people, which is fine. And that's not our home. But in this town, to go through what the police, the security services, and the religious people, subject us to, that is, and for us to today hear that President Nana Akufo-Addo, under his leadership, has decriminalized, whether it's even true or not, believe you me, the parties are going on out there in the streets, in the ghettos, and
what's the special drink you are serving today? Onunu.
No, that's what I drink. I left it, because I'm not quite sure what my legal status is. So,
you have a poem on the whole situation.
I showed up, but I got the news very late when I was in the farm. I think Uncle Ken sent me a link to the story.
Okay.
So when I checked it, I was like, oh.
What do you cultivate the farm?
Herbs.
Okay.
Herbs.
What kind of herbs?
Oh, thyme.
Okay.
I have moringa.
Okay.
Yes, and then I have herbs.
Okay.
Sorry, you have moringa and then you have herbs.
Yes, I have an array of herbs.
Okay.
Now, look, I don't know how marijuana looks or tastes or smells like, but I've always felt that the policy of criminalizing it.
Smell power.
Yeah,
you don't.
No
smell.
The policy. Oh yes.
Now
I've always thought the policy of criminalizing it has not served any purpose. It doesn't make sense to imprison someone for a decade because he found Indian hemp or weed in their system, right?
It depends on what they think it is at the time they were consuming it.
Yeah, but it feeds a particular misconception that people take these things to commit crime. But
I think
you can even drink coke and be
serious discussion on another day.
A serious discussion on another day. But I think that decriminalizing and regulation is the way to go.
We shall wait to see if it is actually true. Anyway, Rasta, back to you. I have come to appreciate you as one of the shall I pick my words carefully?
Please do.
One of the spoken word acts. One of the poets. Let's leave the adjectives for now. One of the poets of our generation. Oh, wait, you are about 3 generations ahead. Of me.
Thank you very much.
Who are very passionate about their work. I think the first time you came on this show, since I started hosting it, it was after the passing of somebody. I don't remember who. And then you did a poem. That was the first day I had heard you doing poetry in the other studio, and I was like, wow, that was beautiful. So I'm glad you are on this show today, because I was told that our regular panel, you people, you are not coming today for the first half of the show. So have you got something for us today?
Yes, it is titled Dear Quarantine, Be Kind.
Okay. Would you like some background music? I don't have some, so please don't say yes.
Version,
All right, let's go.
So, dear quarantine, be kind. The other day, when a stitch in time could have saved more than 9, I strolled down memory's way, longing for warmth in a hug to take me on cloud 9. Instead, I found hope, crouched and waiting on the Pope to come get her so we all could break bread and fast. But he's been quarantined like a beast that he is not, and can't even host Mass and tie our sins in a holy knot. So left to my fate, I could not resort to faith. But my folks missed the memo and have started praying. Any wonder why this virus is winning and praying? Then I quickly snapped out and came home to fret about the bout, now domiciled in and around the Vatican. Oh, how I wish it could all be whisked away by a devil-sent pelican. But the Italians, I saw, had been scuttling, lumping what little they had left higher up in their skies. Their petite military kites unleashed and hurtling. But it is their national colors of hope which the fleet sighs through her turbo-powered engines that the supreme oracle set to remind the indigents that they shall heal, and that their woes won't seal their date with this dreadful virus. For the strength required to win won't be desolate. So this is just 2 verses of an extended poem which would eventually make my collection of poems under the title My Beads of Sweat. So this is what I have for you, 2 verses of a lengthier poem.
A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Dear Quarantine,
Be kind.
Be kind. That's quite an emotional one. I've never seen you this somber.
Yeah, I don't even know what came over me, but you see, when you are up there and in that situation, you look
Which
sharp.
situation?
A situation where persons are just behind your house. We have persons crowded around decks and disregarding social distancing to enlist under the National Identification Authorities,
Oh,
exercise.
goodness.
So you see family. I mean, I have my businesses there. I have family there. My maternal family comes from up on the ridge, and I see them frolicking like there's nothing happening. And this is real. It is happening now that we need to be that responsible, and it is not happening. So yes, sometimes it gets to me that if it does happen, God forbid, and I am quarantined, I would wish that the conditions, even in that space,
will be kind.
Will be kind to me.
All right, let's listen to this one by one of my favorite poets since the year 2005 or 2006. I met this guy, fell in love with him, and he's a poet. Let's listen to him.
Oh, adieu, my savannah love. Let me carry you on my Buzanga Volvo so we can paddle from Burgo Yo-Yo to Wulugu and Navrongo. Or would you rather sit on my Yamaha motorbike so we can journey from Watu Wale Wale? From Wale Wale to Bolagatanga, from Bolagatanga to Bembela. When the dry Hamatan wind presses gently against your skin, do not be worried, my savannah love. For in my fugu's pocket I have wrapped some shea butter, which I will smear softly all over your ebony contour so you will gleam like the new aluminium pot that Auntie Salamatu used to prepare the Edel Adha meat. When the sun becomes impossibly hot, that we feel our very blood will evaporate, I have some strongly woven straw hats to crown you against the heat. The type of straw hat that is worn by the plantain roasters along the street of East Legon down in the south. I know you do not know East Legon, but I shall take you there someday. It is the place to get the best roasted plantain in Accra. Are you thirsty, my savannah love? Let me offer you this calabash of pito. If it is too strong for you, have this concombre instead, or would you rather prefer some Sobelimbeka? Ah, so refreshing. As we ride from village to village with their mud huts, from town to town with their concrete walls, there is so much to see. Let us take a stroll hand in hand through the Mole National Park. They say the wild animals are all disappearing. We might as well see them before they do. Oh, when we come across the giant elephants, I will ride them like the lord of the jungle. Oh, you laugh? You think I cannot? Let us make our way to Paga and ride the crocodiles with fearless romance. For our love is as steadfast as the spear of Ndewura Japa in Larabanga. Let us visit the Salaga slave market and shed a tear or two for the tribesmen who were sold to bondage. Let us stand before the tombs of Samori and Babatu and remember how the raiders were put to the grave. Are you hungry, my savannah love? Let me drop this kuli in your mouth to appetize you towards a grand meal. Is it wachi or wele that you want with extra kanzu? Is it tumpani that you prefer? Or would you rather go for a bowl of tozafi with hot ayoyo and dawadawa soup? Wallahi, you will lick your fingers clean. Oh, my savannah love, I yearn for the day I would send kola nuts to your people. Haba! I cannot wait to see how your arms and feet will be decorated with lenle and your eyes marked with conle, and you drape that beautiful mayafi around your elegant neck. My savannah love, the sun is almost setting and I can hear the cry of the muazzin to Maghrib. And so let me take you home. Circle your arms around my waist, place your head gently on my back, and hear how my heart beats for you as we ride into our distant dreams.
And that's the poem by my lover from 2005.
Lover practicing social distancing for the past.
Yes. for the past 15 years. Oh, that's how long I've known you.
Yeah,
a long time. Hey, wait, so. Yeah.
Wow,
it's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time. When I knew now, Ashorkor, you were still a baby. But this is the first and only poem that really I have recorded. Right? Rhymes on it, right? I know I have to put out an album. You know,
you haven't recorded any of your work, but this one?
Rasta says it's an injustice, and it's true to myself and to my
but at least you've got a couple of videos of your old poems that are.
So some people
So you're saying that if Touchwood, you should drop dead today, we wouldn't have a record of your work?
Oh, there'll be a few out there.
I think you should definitely enter a studio
and I think
produce
people like myself, Ramzoni, Rasta Dems, we also have to publish just for posterity. They published by our audio versions as well as the written versions.
Love this one.
I'm looking for.
By the way, George is kicking us out of the studio because our time is fast spent, but we cannot go without hearing one from Stephanie. So, Stephanie.
Okay, so this one is titled "Life is Like a Poem."
Yes.
In my element of freedom, my heart seeks, my passion speaks, this is my love, I feel free. The words expressed, they flow peacefully. No limits, no locks, no boundaries. Believe, I hold, I mold the wisdom inside that leaks to reach, to teach. Yes, patience symbolizes the powerful key that holds me to be. My destiny will grow and I will flow. I take the chance to enhance the real me, the poetic vessel, guided by the Most High. Life is like a poem. We express day to day. Get caught up in situations where we seem to have no hope. We feel like we can't cope. Is this life? Look in the mirror, symbolizing the power, self-knowledge. Get a grip, don't let your soul rip. Yet, negative thoughts riding through your mind, making you feel blind. You can't see the positive kind. Bear in mind, positivity strikes. Faith, take control within. Let yourself win. Embrace, don't conform sins. Life is like a poem. You can't see what's coming. Blessings, determination. Stand strong through your darkness night. Create the perfect sight that will guide you day and night. Be the light and shine bright. Ignite, take hold of your future, fulfill your dreams, achieve your goals. Be the person you've always wanted to be. Life is like a poem. Begin to achieve.
You held us spellbound.
Life is like a poem. Rasta would say life is like a head.
Begin to achieve.
Begin to burn.
Let me read some of your messages coming in. I love Kwame Rasta so much. My favorite poem is The Black Hawk Down in memory of Ebony. Big ups, Rasta. I took Kwame Burnington Blake. Texting from Tema. Awesome. All right. More messages coming in. Sadiq, if you don't mind. Thank you. Oh, tell the poet that quarantine, not quarantined, as it's please, is poetry which allows you to use language however you please.
Oh, not
Thank you. Now I'm waiting for your gap poem, and that's from Oyibi. All right, now don't worry. I got you. Okay, Chief Moomin, big ups. That's a message coming in from one of our texters. Celestina Sigri says, awesome show, I'm absolutely loving it. Astus Ahiable says, I'm glad to be a non-performing poet. Chief Woman is hitting it home. Great show now, please. Let's enjoy at least one poem each. One poem each from the great poems you have in the studio. Big ups. And that's from Ko Menu from Amasaman. All right, so I think we've gotten a poem from everyone, including George Quaye. The only one who hasn't given us a poem today is Selwyn. But we all know when you see the traffic light, there's something you should go. That's his poem. So let's recite it at home. But Mali did say, we have to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. #redemption song. The words in his song are powerful. And I choose the words one after the other every day. Everyday parlance because they're worth hearing. I love you all. And that's from Nkwanta South. Your name is not in Kwanta South, is it? From OTV. What's your name? But thank you for texting us. And that's how we end the first half of today's show. George Quaye will take over now, and he's going to discuss the state of the various associations we have in the creative arts. But before then, we Ga people have a poem that we say during most of our festivities. Most Ga people know this one. I don't know if well, anyway, if you are Ga and you know this one, say it with me. Afi o afi na atewo panyo ani nawo wayegbe na wose agbobene waterashin alonte dinko akaba for thing afi o afi cha omanyaba. This is a great version. My name is Nash. Hand over now to George Quaye.
Dodo Timbuktu, Ghana, Mali, Sumanguru, you know what you're showing. What you're gay, what you're showing. Dodo Timbuktu, Ghana, Mali, Sumanguru, you know what you're showing. Manchester, you know Sumanguru, you know what you're gay. What you're showing. What's that to do, you know? Why you know? Yatan, you know what you're showing. Can you Israel, can I Egypt, can you Ethiopia, Sudan, what you're showing? Apaka, Bajimo, 1 year, Yapo, Kalacha, Akachimo, 1 year, and young thing. Apaka, Bajimo, 1 year, Yapo, Kalacha, Akachimo, 1 year, and young thing. I'm a young matu, I'm a young motu, I'm a young watumo. I'm a young matu, I'm a young motu, I'm a young watumo. I'm a young watumo, we not a catch more walker, walker,
accidents do happen. It could be a motor accident, a sudden heart attack, or even a stroke, or any other health emergency. The first steps you take are very critical. Should you be involved in or witness an accident, call 112 for the fastest ambulance response. With over 300 well-equipped ambulances all over Ghana, you are assured of the fastest response to your emergency calls. Call 112 during critical health emergencies and save your life and that of your family and loved ones. 112, help will come. 112, we are safe. Avoid prank calls as they can lead to loss of life of persons in actual need of help. Be a responsible citizen.
My family loves visiting me. Because I've got the super reliable and super fast 4G plus MTN Turbonet. And with this super fast MTN Turbonet, it's non-stop fun and entertainment for the whole family at my house. Wow, I finally
Grandma, this is so amazing.
Connect your home and entertain your family at the speed of yellow. Get an MTN Turbonet today and stay connected to the things that matter most. Only on Ghana's fastest network. Dial *5057# to purchase an internet bundle today. We day for you everywhere you go.
This generation rules the nation with version. Music and to the food of love. Songs to really make you rub and scrub. Pass the dutchie on the left hand side. Pass the dutchie.
And I hear extroverts are extremely worried because they can't go nowhere. Some of us, we are cool. Music from musical youth, ain't no better time to play than now. I'm dedicating this one to Raskuku and the rest. And we've heard that Parliament has legalized the growing of some cannabis for health use. Please, the emphasis is health use. Now, question is, who determines what healthy to me? Shatamole, good evening to you. It's after 3 p.m. I can see people jubilating. It's like they won the World Cup. Please, they said Parliament hasn't legalized cannabis for smoking, and possession of cannabis without lawful authority is still illegal. Let me repeat that. Parliament of Ghana has not, the has not is in capital and underlined and it's in red, has not legalized cannabis for smoking or from passing from the left hand side. Possession of cannabis without lawful authority remains illegal. It is still illegal. In the studios, I've got Sadiq Abdullah Abu. I've got the legendary, one of Ghana's finest talents, of course, a creative mind, Mr. Abe Kusegu, who celebrated his birthday last week. He didn't bring us any of the cake. Of course, Uncle Kennedy is also here. We've heard rumors the rest of the EPL season is going to be cancelled, so Liverpool may have to hold on to their dreams for another 30 years. Quaye Rasta has been here with us from the Poetry Time, and Chief Abdul Mumin is still here. What do you want? Why are you still here?
Before I take my leave, I want to address a particular concern to Uncle Ken. Uncle Ken.
Yes.
I believe that over the years I have exhibited some standard of, gentility, if I can say, So if by some stroke of fate, a particular expletive escapes unwittingly from my mouth right here in this studio,
which it did.
It did. As a result of which Philip has socially distanced me from the show. And I've been quarantined in my house listening to the show via radio. I feel there's sufficient cause for me to, make a complaint, lodge a complaint to you that, Rasta has been here for so many years, God knows. And he said he said how many infractions? But when I have gone on a number of vacations. Listen, I've gone on serious vacations. Yes, so, okay, I'd like to assume that I'm also on vacation. Yes. And that every so often I will be invited back to share my views on the entertainment industry. Chief. Oh, today, dear, I have some hoarding I have to go and do. In anticipation of the lockdown, which is not happening. Yes, Chief,
thank you for alerting me, because I didn't know this.
Yes, in fact, last week I nearly called into the show.
I did not know that you've been quarantined because of.
I had eaten a baked bimi in the morning.
And then
me dig up me stinking rocket launcher, and in all the air it's just the helicopter me a chant. Some ganja planter, call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth we me put the ganja. Babylon come a lot.
And that was the voice of Chief Abdul Mumin, and he's gone. Again, you were saying.
But why?
Why what?
Why did you cut him short?
Oh, I didn't. He finished what he wanted to say.
I am surprised. This is the first I'm hearing of this. I didn't know this.
That he was on
no
sabbatical?
Because of what occurred.
No, not what occurred. What he said.
What? But we pleaded for leniency.
Yes,
and I think our audience, being the type of audience that they are, accepted the fact that it was a slip of tongue and forgave Chief. So I don't think we should stretch. No. This one, Chief did not know the mics were on.
No,
he did not want to say this while the mics were on. He didn't know.
Uncle Ken.
And that's a fact.
Uncle Ken.
No.
That is why it is not an indefinite ban. It's not an indefinite ban. We've risen above it.
Yeah.
So have we?
Yes, give it a nice one.
Because I'm wondering
it's just
that why was he invited today?
Yeah, that's why we've risen above it. We have been
lifted. Thank you.
Yeah,
so it means the ban has been lifted. Thank you.
It was just for. It wasn't indefinite.
It should have been a month ban.
All right, gentlemen. Good afternoon. Good afternoon again, and welcome to the show. Good afternoon. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yes. Thank you very much.
Still in a jubilant mood, so.
How's your week? How's your week been? Let me start with you, Uncle Abiku. How's your week been so far with all this koro and everything that's going on?
I think it's been one of the worst weeks that any person alive would have endured. I think since Thursday, I've been home, and just came out because of your invitation.
Thank you.
Otherwise, I was going to have self-quarantined for the rest of the week. But it's been dull. It's been on the downside. We're just praying that things will get better.
We hope and pray. Uncle Ken, would you say media is doing enough? I mean, considering some of them opine strongly that media should be educating and informing, especially around this time. But when you look at media, it appears media is rather, pushing out the fear and panic and getting people confused all over the country and all that, because there seems to be, various information, different kinds of, the information is not consistent or coordinated properly. And when you go into, you get out of Accra. I mean, today I was at Accra Central, and it didn't look like there was something going on. It didn't look like the way you enter certain offices or certain other places, and you find this barrel with water and soap, and you finish, and they give you. Yesterday I was at a party somewhere on Dome Pilachu.
A party?
Very, very party for just about 20 people. That wasn't a large party. And even that, before you enter, no, in all honesty, I can show you the images. Before you enter, they had this barrel there with running water, and before you enter, there's a security man. Once they check your invite, when you enter, the first place you go to is that place. Before you enter the main party area, you wash your hands with soap, you clean it with tissue, and then you put it in the bin. Then you use the sanitizer as well.
When you hear of any of those parties, please invite me.
Sure. Then you before you use the sanitizer, before you go
the problems
in,
you have,
and once you enter the party area, there are small notes here and there and instructions of what to do and what not to do and all that. So I figured, they've done well. They've at least tried to sensitize people a little bit. But I was in Accra this morning, and I didn't feel same. And I asked somebody, na mudia munte dear koso, yata say draw almost me yamba. No more fumigation. Fumigation no cry because I haven't crana dos no do. They've heard about some fumigation, but listen to
and
what he
added. That's more important.
Crana dos.
Yes,
the rats.
Yeah, because
we're not worried about him. They're not, and I was worried that you are happy about the fumigation not for your safety, but because of the rats.
So, George, you see, you cannot accuse the media of talking too much.
But is the media saying the right thing to get people like those also informed?
That is the issue. If you remember, last week on this show, I made the point about uniformity of information that is put out there, and that it was very crucial, because if A is saying this and B is saying that and C is saying that, that's a confusionist state. Of nobody knowing which is the right information out there. So, as for the media, I mean, you can't stop the media for fishing for information, wanting to be the first to put out the information. But I think that it is necessary, and as Abu would normally say, it's instructive to note that in putting out information, it should be the right information, because there's no joy in putting out information that is proved otherwise wrong eventually. What have you gained, if you did that? So the information being put out there is it's so vital, and we are not harping enough on the positives that can come out of this. I mean, when I say positives that can come out, I'm talking about the recovery rate of people who are otherwise infected.
And they are testing.
And tested, I think that is more important to put out to calm people's nerves, so that the people out there get to know that if I'm tested and I'm even positive, there's a chance of me getting better. So that, because when you think evil, that's what will come.
George,
we should be positive thinkers in all this. And you know something? I was listening to so much all over the place that I got confused at a stage.
You tune in by your own self, free will, to all the things you are listening to.
Yes, I do. I do. Kwame, I have to tell you that I can watch TV and have 2 radio sets beside me happening at the same time, listening to 2 radio stations at the same
time. Times, isn't it about time that you slacken that ambition of yours?
No, I am by nature somebody who likes to gather information.
Yes, so can
from
you
different
suspend
I am sensible enough to sieve through the information.
So
most of
you are
the
not
time.
complaining.
So the point,
only sharing your
the point I am making is that I hear these things. I'm capable of sieving the veracity of such information.
So,
but what about
that there are lots of people who are listening to multiple radio stations like you are doing, and they are unable to sieve? That is
Kwame.
Those are the people you are speaking for.
No, Kwame.
Are you there? You're okay.
I am fine.
Oh, we thank God.
I am very fine.
I see.
And maybe you don't know, but I am very fine.
Okay.
When it comes to me, I know exactly what to do.
Okay. Like you are fine with what?
With the information I get
okay.
and the way I weigh it. I am talking for
to receive more.
Yes.
No, of course. I mean, it is you, so yes.
Well, I think that I'm on the same page with Ken.
Yes,
you must be.
No, let's hear one voice.
You know, these quarantine days even afford you more opportunities to listen to multiple media platforms. You know, you can have 4 or 5.
No, but that's dangerous.
Tune. No, it's not dangerous.
Because they are credible news outlets, and if you are telling me that you are listening to all the credible news outlets at the same time, especially in this day of fake news and people wanting to justify their salaries and whatnot, you don't need that. You need to commit to one entrusted news outlet.
Please.
And as you see, he's saying that he's listening.
Please.
We all read.
We read.
So
you are saying that Joy FM is the Corona headquarters. So
you see,
I should
we read multiple publications online.
Kwame.
But when it comes to listening and the hard work you put into your, your desire, your hard desire
of what, which is
wanting to get local news.
Yes.
It is dangerous for.
It isn't
and
for me.
If you are saying this and your fans are listening, they want to emulate your example. It is even worse.
Why?
You are fine. What of your fans?
Kwame.
What if they can't
have they told you?
The news?
Have the fans told you they want to do same?
Okay, so you listen to multiple news outlets.
And
in the crackran is saying,
I sieve the information I get, weigh it against all others, and then know which is fake and which is not. And I am telling you that I am able to do that because I take my time to find out. I don't know about other people out there, Kwame, but that is not the point. My point I wanted to make, which you didn't allow me to, but I have now gotten the point, and don't you dare
try to cut in.
Cutting in into what I'm going to do right now. I was lying down last night and I was thinking about everything that's happening to this world at the moment. And to be honest with you, in all my time on this earth, I haven't seen one particular issue that has actually torn the entire world into the sort of turmoil we find ourselves in at the moment, as such as this. I haven't in all my life. That I have lived. Maybe in the past they happened, but as I'm saying that as I have lived. So my mind went back to my primary school days at Achimota Primary. And I thought of a hymn that I so love and was taught at Achimota Primary. The one thing I loved about that place, the hymns that we were taught. I can sing every single hymn from the Methodist hymn book because we were taught. But this particular hymn, the other time you people sat in this studio with George, the same George,
right here,
and you people were singing plenty things, and then you came to me and asked me, So, Uncle, can you to sing some song? And I told you guys. Do you remember? Abu, you. Right? Abu was the culprit. He said, Uncle, can you to sing something? And dance. Yes.
What were they singing?
Oh, the normal things, hip life, Afrobeat, or whatever is going on these days. But me, I only sing hymns, because I love hymns.
Yeah, that's good.
And this particular hymn that I'm talking about, I want to sing it to you.
When?
Now, on the drum rolls.
Drum rolls.
Uncle Ken. Uncle Ken, it's 4 o'clock. You sing. Yes.
He says it's 4 o'clock.
Uncle Ken, go ahead.
Oh God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come. Our shelter. You people don't know the lyrics.
Oh, but we're
leave me to sing my song.
Sorry.
Our shelter from the stormy past and our eternal.
I guess we should add.
That is what gave me comfort. Over this whole
all the hard work you did, listening to all the
I'm saying yes. At the end of it all, I
Mm-hmm.
pieced everything together and I said to myself, there is truly a God somewhere.
You should have
and
attended the
only
breakfast
person
meeting, the
who should help
presidential
us.
breakfast meeting, Uncle Ken.
Thank you.
All right, Uncle Ken. Thank you. So, yes.
I'm looking for somebody.
No,
please, I won't do that to you. You see, there's this particular guy who walks behind my window, and then he'll be chanting. I'm going to
Saying what? Singing what?
I don't know if it's a verse or a chorus. It goes like no, Ose. He's done it for like 4 days. You see? And but you're the only one who I swear. You see, when we reach there around between 6 and 6:15, that'll be the time where the campus. Then he should have the belt, that kind of lyrics for me, And what my dread is there might be people out there thinking that it is because it is imported. It is only those who've been outside and have come back home who are carriers or prone to contract this dreadful virus. And that's another issue that, because when you climb up the ridge, when you see the way we go about our normal lives, like, like, it is business as usual. When you go to the points where the NIAs are conducting the exercises, for instance, we are who we are, and the normal gossiping.
In other words, people aren't as alarmed as you think they should be.
No, the only time that they are excited is when they are listening to the news and the people are making fun of the pronunciation and the way people are not pronouncing it properly. That is when people seem to be.
Should we be worried, really?
I think so. I think that because you see, I think on Tuesday there was this news making the rounds on WhatsApp that Mampong, and it turned out to be false because I had to call somebody there. So it turns out that it's not true that Mampong had recorded Tetekwashi Memorial Hospital, and my neighbor, who's the head of one of the government agencies there, she was that worried. So, and I'm like, listen, take your time, relax. We need to be because when she called me that this is what she had heard, I started sweating where I was. It was cold, but I was sweating. Because, and again, when God forbid it does happen, and government decides that in its own wisdom, listen, let's cordon off these sick people for a while. It will not be funny.
You have a point. Let me bring Sadiq into the conversation so we can go. Sadiq, for me, and one of the things that hit me today while I was at the city center, I was looking at all these trotros and stuff like that, even the taxis and stuff, and the way they are sitting inside closely. Close. Is it about time they institutionalize something where maybe, or if it's for trotro, for instance, maybe 2 people on a seat or something? I don't know. We said what? Social distances and all that. We should practice it everywhere. I mean, I have seen restaurants. I was at Starbites Nesta Square Airport City yesterday, and I liked what they had done. They had actually spaced the chairs. They had removed some of them, you know. So, like, if Philip is seated here, you know, usually there would be a next seat on their long tables. There will be a next seat. They've removed one. So they've spaced them. So if it was going to be like 10 seats on one row, now it's like 5 or even 4. And I thought that was quite responsible. You understand? At least let's have some distances in between. But look at our trotros. People are sitting close next, and the meat is still hanging by the door, just like that.
So that's the point where I probably was joining a number of people that are calling on God to protect us, because I mean, I've drawn blanks a number of times this week trying to think about or make sense out of all of these things. You know, fortunately for me, I've also, just like I've been trying to find a lot more information on it from last week. I think before Tuesday, the Tuesday before we cancelled out postponed the Fan Fest. I've been trying to make sense of it, and one of the things that keeps playing back in my mind is the interview I watched of the Italian Prime Minister on CNN, for instance, and then following the updates on what's happening in Italy, for instance, and then seeing back home. Look, I've drawn a blank. I don't know, like you know how you want to think about the genesis of God, where it's coming from, and you consistently hit a blank. You don't know where to go and how to, you know, and that informed one of the reasons why the whole of this week I stayed at home. I didn't move. I was not actually interested in anything.
You people wanted me to come here last weekend.
Charlie, I was not interested. I just don't know, George, at this particular point, to be honest. I don't know how. Well, because a lot of different. Today, I've actually even become paranoid about a lot of things now. Just right now, before I sat, the microphone, I told Philip to come and sanitize the microphone because it could give me coronavirus. You know, so I honestly don't know. But this is the point where. No, I don't. But this is the point where I also will join the people that are calling on God, praying to God to sort of protect us. Because George, Charlie, if you consider our setting and how we go about certain things, it's serious. The funerals are still ongoing. Today, had I not pleaded to my dad that he should just allow me for today, I was supposed to represent him at a funeral in Kumasi. Wow. And this is a funeral of a big man. Wow. So you can imagine.
But didn't they hear the president say it shouldn't be more than 20?
George, funerals have been suspended at our place.
People still do not understand what is hitting us all. We still don't get it. I know people that are doing quarantine parties and all of that. They still don't get it. Internal quarantine parties, 30 people, 40 people, apartments, they there, and they are chilling. And that's why, for instance, some people have been trying to make sense of this. They've been trying to ask some of the older people how the so-called 83 com was like. How was it like? Because for a lot of us, we've only watched it in TV. And so I'm trying to reconcile the things I've watched in those zombie movies and how there's lockdown and you have to come out and all of those things to, and yesterday evening when I came out briefly yesterday evening to go to the barbershop and come back again, the entire town was quiet.
Which part?
I mean, throughout, I came from North Kaneshi, went through to Jolu and came back again. It was unusually quiet in certain places. In a lot of places that typically you would have a lot more people being around, and it's just about 7 o'clock.
Then maybe Medina is not, they haven't heard.
Well. So, I mean, at this particular point, George, we can only pray to God and hope that God also gives people in authority the wisdom to be able to take the lead in helping to prevent us from getting these things. Because, Charlie.
George,
let's go into a conversation.
Just before you go to Abeku, one last thing. I said to myself, there truly must be a God who loves us as Ghanaians. Because you know why? We just gone through the Harmattan period. And the Harmattan period is full of dust. Everybody has catarrh and, you know.
You cannot to catch you. Somebody told me that the severe cold I had during that time in January was coronavirus.
Oh, no. Well, people should stop making those jokes.
No, but George, mine is not a joke. I'm just saying, can you imagine at that time when there was so much dust and everybody was sneezing and coughing and had flu and all that kind of thing had coincided with this?
The panic would have been
heightened. The panic would have been out of sight.
Well, I understand the president is going to address the nation again this evening,
tonight.
so let's wait for that address and then we'll see the best way forward.
We just should pray that there's no new numbers adding to.
Uncle Abib, we're going to come to how it's hit, especially our entertainment industry, because it looks like tourism and our space has been really hit. I mean, other industries may find ways to survive, but we, for instance, 3 Music Awards, I don't think they know when it's going to hold. VGMAs, I don't think they know when it's going to hold. And people that have made bookings at the places, National Theatre, Conference Center, Grand Arena, people are cancelling their bookings and taking back their monies and all that.
Are they getting the monies back?
Oh, well, you would get it back. I mean, these are established institutions. You will get it back. You know, or you'd have to find some arrangement with them to reschedule. I mean, and there are some of these events that are time-bound. You may not be able to reschedule. You understand? For instance, let's say you wanted to hold something on International Women's Day for women, and you cancel that. You're postponing it till when? Next year?
Yeah.
Or when?
Obviously.
You know?
Or even the Easter
you know, or even the Easter events, Quaye and all those things. This thing, Quaye is going to be hardly hit because Quaye Easter is like the biggest economic activity that happens in Quaye. If you know that place very well, the biggest economic activity. In fact, let me hear from Abe Kusego on this whole thing before we get into the real conversation. You know.
Well, of course, it's difficult. You are in difficult times, and it calls for. I think that you see. If we take our minds back to, for instance, when HIV came out in Ghana, now I think that one of the problems we're having with our education is that it's been hijacked by politicians, and immediately politicians begin to take the forefront in these things, which are technical. You begin to create problems. When HIV came, of course, there were political angles, but the technical education was done by the technical people, the experts.
Relevant, yes.
You know, the Ministry of Health, the Ghana Health Service, the Health Education Department was in the forefront. So all the messages that they came out with were carefully couched.
NCC.
You know, NCC, but basically the health education. No, I was with NCC for some time. Yes, I understand. But what I'm saying is that with HIV, even recently when SARS and the H1N1 thing came, the Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service, Health Education Department was in the forefront of the education. So even the messages that came out of the media, where every morning they sent out, they updated. Every morning they updated. So most of I was then with Vibe FM. Any message we had, we said, this is coming from the Health Education Department. So people, you know, but these days now, NDC is saying this, NPP is saying that. It's become another one of our political things. And that is why, if you ask me, I would say that that's why people are not taking this seriously. So I would think that it's high time, the politicians took a back step and allowed the health experts to do all the education.
This could be difficult for them to take a stage back because they are taking the lead in this.
And I'm saying that they're taking the lead is one of the problems.
But Uncle Abe, isn't this, because when you look at it globally, everywhere, all over the world, it is governments that are leading this.
What we are
because
seeing,
it is a national problem.
It's a national problem. In fact, it's a global problem, not a national.
I mean, looking at it
global.
Country by country.
But here, we're mixing both. As I said, there are political messages that should come. That should come from them. But the politicians are also doing the health education.
Okay.
And that
which
is
you think they should stay away from and allow the health professionals
allow
to do
the
that.
health professionals to do.
Should it actually be health professionals or the information ministry and the information services department?
The health professionals, they cannot be everywhere.
Yeah.
But with the media, as I said, with HIV, as I said, with SARS, every information that came out of the media had the health education tag.
Okay.
Yes, that is coming from the health education department.
You know.
So I think that we should go back to that and not try to reinvent everything every time.
All right, gentlemen, let's get into our conversation.
But George, did you listen to News File today?
I was at Accra Central, so around the time I couldn't listen to all of it.
The experts talking to us, and maybe that's what he's
referring to. Okay.
Because I watched one TV discussion, and it was NDC MPP as usual talking about coronavirus.
Gentlemen, we can stay on corona forever. Let's go into it. Okay, there's something I'm going to read that is going to set the premise for this conversation we're about to have. So I'd like us all to pay attention. Once upon a time, not too long ago, though, a group of actors rose up with claims of having the expertise to solve all problems facing actors in Ghana. They first accused the leadership of Ghana Actors Guild of gargantuan corruption, thievery, money chopping, selfishness, greed, debauchery, and all manner of crimes. These people said that the Actors Guild needed an 1. Excellent constitution, 2. Rebranding, 3. IMC, 4. Forensic audit, 5. Stop elections. After successfully and violently disrupting GAG's elections, they found their way onto a committee that organized elections. They managed somehow to find their way onto the leadership of GAG. They were given only 3 assignments. 1. To write a new constitution for GAG. 2. Rebrand the guild. And 3. Organize elections. And they had 1 year, commencing April 29, 2017, to do these. Immediately this group got hold of GAG, they swore that they would do what they did to get GAG to get ASOG. Check the accusations leveled against GAG and juxtapose them against accusations leveled against ASOG and their reliefs. 1. IMC, that Interim Management Committee. 2. New Constitution. 3. Rebranding. 4. Stop elections. 5. Forensic audit. After a year at the helm of ASOG's affairs, GAG has no constitution. GAG can't be found anywhere. No rebranding. Their 1 year expired 29th April. No signs of elections. These are the people with a magic wand to solve all of ASOG's problems. Mr. Sego, is this familiar?
Well, very, 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 very.
How is it familiar?
Well, I think I was in the midst of all these.
Did you write this thing I read?
This one?
Yes.
I don't remember if I wrote it, but I believe that I've written similar things. I don't know if I wrote this one. Why? Because if I wrote it, the objectives would have been more than 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would they have been then? Because actually you put it on a platform. You put this on a platform about a year or two, about 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. It came from you. So what would the other objectives have been?
Well, there were more than 3 because the new constitution was 1, the rebranding was 1, to unite. Because in the towards the elections, there were lots of divisions, acrimonies and all that. So one of their key, if you asked me, one of their key objectives was to unite the guild, bring us all together again so that we could move forward as one guild. So that should also have been part of it. It didn't come up. And then, yes, that should have been added. I think there are 4. There are 4, not 3, yes.
So what is the state? Last week we started a conversation. What is the state of the Actors Guild today? Because it is a guild that has been set up primarily to protect the interest of actors and represent their needs and everything. What is the state of the guild, the Ghana Actors Guild today?
Well, it is disintegrated. As it is, nothing is going on. I mean, nothing is going on. Basically, nothing is going on. It's virtually. We like saying dead. Well, I don't want to say dead. It's maybe your life support. It's in hibernation, and we're not moving at all because of the reasons that you have already alluded to. And nothing is going on. Nothing is going on until last 2 weeks or so, where we had the reenactment of the Declaration of Independence. That brought some of them together. But after that, too, of course, everybody has gone back.
I am tempted to ask, because if people come with a good heart, they I think they had some sort of an executive committee, and they had plans, they had ideas, and then they suddenly found themselves in court. How did that happen?
Well, if we can start from the beginning. After the elections in 2014 October, we had general elections and elected an executive, a full complement of the executive, bar one position, financial secretary, because the qualification was that we needed somebody with accounting or financial background, and we didn't have anybody, so that there was no contest for that position. But after the election, unfortunately, soon after that, the president died, Reverend Kofi. And then Vivian Archer, who was the vice president, traveled to the U.S. She didn't come back. And then the welfare officer, Pasolo Solomon Sampa, also died. So there were 3 vacancies. And what was left of the executive decided to conduct by-election to fill the positions. They went ahead with the preparations. I offered to go for the president, and Samuel Fishen also offered to go for the president. Van Vicker and one Listuel went for contested for vice president. I think Papani Patentin and Kasum Sinari wanted to go for the welfare. Now, the first one. Fishen and I wanted to. That was before Papani and others came in. I think Moffat and the others wanted to go for vice president and those kind of things. Now, the preparation for the elections, I took the form, filled it, and returned it with my filing fee. Fishen picked the form, returned it without a filing fee.
Like he forgot.
No, he said, I think from them, he said that he was expecting some money from somewhere that when he got it, to come and pay. So they gave him up to the day of the vetting.
No, but was the filing fee refundable?
No,
filing fees
normally it's not refundable. No, he did not pay at all. He said he would bring the money.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, he didn't pay.
He didn't pay.
Not you.
I paid.
You paid.
I paid. He didn't pay.
Ah, okay.
Then they gave him up to the day of the vetting. That if he could bring it on the day of vetting, it would be accepted.
Please, how much was it?
I think it was 1,000 cities or 500, between 500. I don't remember the. Yeah, that's some time ago. So on the day of vetting, I went for the vetting. They waited and waited and waited. Fisher didn't turn up. So they had arranged the election. I think it was Tuesday, and the election was coming on the Saturday. So after the vetting, they called a meeting to introduce the contestants to the members. We went there. It was at the Art Center Thursday evening. When we got there, just as it started, a group of people came in, Fishen and Oscar Provençal, Kasum, some guys came in and disrupted the meeting. They said they won't allow it to go on, and that an IMC should be established. What was left of the executive should be disbanded.
Okay.
There are 6 of them. They should be put aside.
Were you part of the?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
The 6 should be put aside for an IMC to be established. Indeed, before that, a group of people had come to me one evening around 11:30, 11:30 p.m. and indicated that they wanted me to be the president of the guild, head an IMC. So I asked them why. I told them that no, we have an executive. Let them finish with their tenure, and then we can move on. They said no. I mean, they were not the correct people. Blah blah blah. And then
was it before the Reverend died, and then the
after the Reverend died,
fled?
She didn't flee. Okay. She traveled. Okay. This was when just before the elections.
Oh, okay.
Just before the by-election.
Okay.
They said they thought that I should lead the guild, but they had 2 conditions. And I asked what the conditions were. They said one, that we should disband what was left of the executive. And I said no. We voted for them at a general election. They have 2 years to go. Let them finish. If we're not satisfied with them, we vote them out. Then the second condition was that there were too many locals in the guild. People were speaking Twi and Ga and Never. They are taking over the guild. And I said, no. Whoever acts in Ghana, irrespective of his educational background, irrespective of the language he acts in, is qualified to join the guild. Therefore, I didn't think that it was tangible. So we ended that meeting. Apparently, they had called for a meeting. I told you they were coming to invite me, but I didn't go. So it was from that meeting that it came to disrupt the introductory meeting at the art center. So we stopped it. But the executive, the election committee insisted that they were going to conduct the election on a Saturday at the Musica Hall. So people came there. I went to Latte to visit my old lady on Friday. So Saturday morning I was coming back when somebody called me and said, oh, the election had been cancelled. And I asked why. He said, oh, there was disruption. People came there within clubs and candles, so the police came in and stopped it. So I got to the national. I met some of them at the National Theatre, and so that is it. So the then Minister Elizabeth Ofosu-Ejare, head of it, and called us to a meeting and decided that we had to stop it. That she set up a 3-man committee, Akunu Dake, Ekwansa, and William Addo, to lead the way out of the turmoil. And then Akunu Dake, who was the chairman, expanded the committee, said that there were 6 more of the existing executive. So Fission, they assumed that the existing executive were behind me because I was defending them. I had insisted that they should be in office. So it was like they were part of me. So Akunu said, okay, then Fission should also nominate 6 people to join the existing executive to draw a timetable or a roadmap for us out of the problems. We went on for 1 year. And then on 16 February 2017, they called all of us to a meeting.
The Akunu
Dake committee, yes. Called all of us to a meeting at the Musica Hall. And that is where they laid out the roadmap, where these objectives. So it's a committee that came up with the roadmap, the objectives. Now we're going to hold elections to elect 3 people to join the executive to run for 1 year. And that
the skeletal one, the one that had lost the president,
yes. Okay. So we're going to elect the president, vice, and welfare officer to join them to run for 1 year. And that at the end of the 1 year, we're going to have elections. And then the other objectives were to rebrand the guild, to give us a new constitution, because their problem was that the constitution was bogus. And unite us, hold a general conference, and then have elections. So we all said, fine, we'll go by it. Nobody opposed it. The elections came on 29th April 2017. The winners were sworn in that same day. Right after the election, they were sworn in.
Did you contest?
I contested and lost to Fission. As well. President.
Yeah, the president.
And then Van Vika won the vice, and Kasum won the welfare. Yeah.
And who was treasurer?
No, welfare officer.
Welfare officer. Okay.
So they were sworn in to join the 6 to form a 9-member executive committee.
Okay.
After 1 year, we had nothing. After the election, the only thing they did next was the Thanksgiving service at the art center. Beyond that, nothing more happened. So we patiently waited. 1 year, 28th April. Then they quickly called. I was at the funeral when somebody asked me if I was not coming for the meeting. I asked which meeting. They said, the meeting at the art center. So right after the burial service, I rushed to the art center to find out what was happening. There they were. I called some people together, said they were holding. I asked if it was elections or meeting. They said it was special mini congress.
Because their mandate was for a year.
For a year.
Okay.
And that was the day that their mandate was expiring. They called what they call a mini Congress, and said that they had extended the tenure of the membership card, and that they were asking the blah 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 blah.
So what you're saying is that within that 1 year, they did absolutely
they did nothing. I mean, there was no constitution, there was no rebranding, there was no unity meeting, there was no general meeting, there was nothing.
But there was a
So wait,
Thanksgiving service.
there was a Thanksgiving service after the election.
So I want to understand.
Yes.
Was it that the mandate was just for a year?
Yes.
And was it that within that year they were planning? You know, these things actually do take time.
Mhm.
Was it that they were planning, or was just a tea party for them? They actually decided to run, contest, pay money, pick form, sign and everything, go through the motions, campaign. I'm sure even through the campaign they'll spend some money and all that, get people to vote for them, and just come into office for a year and do nothing.
Well, as for money on campaign, we all spent.
Yes.
We all went for the election.
No, the point I'm trying to make is people must have an idea of what I want to do when I come. I want to understand
Yeah,
that
we
they did
all
nothing
said-
bit.
we all
Because
said-
when you interact with them, they also don't agree with what you're saying.
We all said what we thought we would do. I said that for the rebranding, I was going to get the guild an office. You know, get a guild an office. We're squatting at the musical hall, that corner there. I said, no, we have to come out.
It looks
of
like
that.
a prison entrance.
We have to get our own office. So even some of my supporters, we went around. It was obvious that I was going to win. I don't know how come I lost.
You
But,
believe you were robbed?
So
What, you believe you were robbed?
I don't want to go into that.
No.
I don't want to. It's. I mean, if we want to go into all those, I think that yes, it will sound something. But we had to get an office as part of our rebranding. Then the constitution I had already set up. I had already gotten some people, some lawyers, to help us put a new constitution together and all that. The unity at the end of the election, when Fission was declared winner, I went onto the platform, hugged him, and even picked the mic and said that between Fission and I, it's father and son. Everybody calls us father and son. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah, I know that.
You know, that anybody who attempts to come between us will be a third party. You know, that Fission is my brother. You know, and all those called on to let us put the tension that came up behind us and move forward as one team. So I said all that on the 2 days after the election.
Were you just being politically correct?
No, 2 days after the election, I called him again early in the morning, Tuesday morning. The election was on Saturday.
Yeah.
Tuesday early morning, I called him and congratulated him again. I told him that if he needed my assistance in any way, I was ready to offer it. You know, and I've done it before.
So why did you take them to court?
I took them to court as a Methodist.
Because
one
you
of
said
us,
father and son. You
father
love
and
the
son,
gentleman.
yes.
You love
But
what they are doing. The
when
idea. You congratulate him.
Yes.
You offered your support. Did you feel left out, or did you feel bad about it?
I didn't take them to court within the 1 year.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
I took them to court in, I think, October, 6 months.
Yeah.
After the 1 year.
After the 1 year. Yeah.
6 months.
Why?
6 months after the 1 year, because we had expected that we'll have elections on 28th April. It didn't come on. Then we alerted them that, guys, your 1 year is passed. But from now on, you no longer qualify to call yourself president or the other executive positions. But they didn't listen to us. They went on. And then suddenly they said there was a constitution. Suddenly a constitution came out. I didn't know the process. I didn't hear of the process. But somebody showed me the constitution. And inside, you could see that the constitution had been targeted. They were writing a constitution targeting some people. Inside, you know, that was my 60th birthday. My 60th year. So in the constitution, there was a clause that anybody who had hit the national pension year does not qualify to be president of Actors Guild.
So you thought that was targeted at you?
It was targeted at me.
How do you know? But wasn't that wrong?
I was 60 years.
But was that wrong?
It was wrong.
Why was it wrong?
Ghana president or age limit. The Actors Guild president age limit. You can say that if you are not 20 years or 30 years, you can't be president. But you can't say that beyond a certain age you can't be president of Ghana Actors Guild. It was clear that it was because of Abeku Sego. And then and then Van Vicker too. You see,
were you the only 60-year-old in the gig in the guild? Were you the only 60-year-old in the guild at the time?
I was the only one whose 60 years had been broadcast. And then Van Vicker. You know, Van Vicker was a vice president.
Yeah, vice.
But he had been ostracized. And the argument was that Van Vicker had told them that he was now in school.
Okay.
He was going to school. And so sometimes his movements will be a little limited. And therefore when they wanted to call meetings, they should give enough notice. They'll schedule a meeting for 9 o'clock Thursday. 30 minutes to 9 o'clock Thursday, the meeting will be rescheduled. General Africa will say, I'm going for lectures. So it's not possible for me to come for this meeting. Then they write a constitution and put in that any executive member who is not regular at meetings does not qualify to contest for elections.
Did they do this with lawyers or they did it with themselves?
I don't know which lawyer advised them to write a constitution like that. That one was certainly targeted at Van Vicker to disqualify him from contesting, you know. But we went to court because we went to court in October when they said suddenly that they were preparing for elections. At one time, then a list came out of those who had qualified to contest for the elections, and all the positions were unopposed. President unopposed, contestant Samuel Vision, first vice president unopposed, contestant Mona Lisa.
Let me ask
second vice president
continue.
unopposed. You know all the. So we said no, you can't do this.
Let me ask one question before you continue. You challenged them based on a certain constitution that already existed. Does that constitution still exist?
The 2014.
Yes,
it's that is a constitution that we're working with, that we know.
You have it?
Yes, I have it. But of course, I didn't know that was what we're going to talk about.
Yes, because others have said that constitution does not exist.
It exists.
Because nobody else claims to have seen it apart from you.
Oh no, how? There was a committee that worked on it, led by lawyer Bosompra.
Yes, but the point they are making is that was it made available to the new executive? Because some Fisher and the team claim they haven't seen this constitution before.
Some official contested for the 2014 elections. On which constitution was he contesting? There was no. He just came to contest. What qualified him to contest?
I'm asking because when, let's assume Uncle Ken has been made president with Rasta as vice president, Sadiq as welfare, and me as PRO or something.
Yes.
And we are executives of this office, and it was handed over to us by Philip Nye, Selwyn, and their team. When they are handing over, they should hand over everything. Was a constitution handed over to Fission and his team to work with? That this is the constitution we are working with.
When for that election, the election that Eddie Kofi won to be president, Fission contested him. Yeah. I contested as general secretary. I lost to Ziggy Nettison.
You're always losing.
You know, before that election, we were given copies of the constitution. Yes, there was a constitution from 1996 or so. It was reviewed by lawyer Bosompra, Jifar Glipoe, Agnes Pamphret. There was a committee that worked on that constitution, and we got copies of it. That is how we filed to contest for the election. So for anybody to say, especially those who contested that election, to say that they hadn't seen any constitution will beat my imagination. You know.
Interesting. Let me bring in the panel at this point because
I haven't finished.
Oh yeah, sorry. You finish yours and then.
Yes, I'm saying that they came out with a list of contestants.
Yeah.
All unopposed. So we went back to Akuno Dake.
Was Van Vicker too unopposed?
Van Vicker did not even know there was going to be any election.
So his vice president in charge was
a by-election.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this was a new election that suddenly they said they were organizing.
Oh.
So we went back to Akuno Dake and Anti-AC Professor A.C. Sutherland, who was then the conveners of the Cultural Forum, and reported what was going on because they had led the reorganization So we reported to them, and they called us for a meeting at Professor Isida Sutherland's home. And we discussed all the matters, and they said, Akunudake, Professor Sutherland, said that, guys, go back and reorganize the process. Open it up for whoever is interested and is qualified to contest. That is how we left the place.
Cultural Forum, you were election chair.
Yes, I was election chair.
But it was contested unopposed.
Even ASOC, I was chair for ASOC elections. There were we were looking for 6 people. There were only 6 people contesting. But the difference is that one was on television, it was advertised. We showed everybody where they could pick the forms. Culture Forum, it was the same. Culture Forum, I was on the election committee, I was not the chair. We showed everybody where they could go and pick the forms. They filled and brought them. So that was it. In this case, we suddenly saw the list of contestants. 9 people, all of them on the poll. I said, no, you can't do this. So Antiesi and Nakunu said, go and open it up and let whoever is interested contest. So we left. In fact, we left on a good note. We left Antiesi's house on a good note. We came expecting that announcement will be made that the election has been opened and all that.
Contest, yeah.
All we heard was that 2 days to time the election was going to come on. No such offer had been. I had said here at Joy FM, I'd come here twice. I'd been at Hits FM twice. I'd been at Peace FM twice. I said that I was no longer interested in. I thought I was too old now to contest for the Actors Guild.
You should have allowed their 60 thing to have stayed in the constitution.
No, but it should not be. I said I would contest.
I
However, that the right thing must be done. The fact that I'm not going to contest does not mean that no other person can, because I know people. I know about 3 people who wanted to contest. 3 people asked me if I was going to contest. I said no. They said, okay, if I'm not contesting, then they are going to contest. 2 days, we talked and change, let people enter nothing. So 2 days to their date for the election, we went to court to stop it. Till Thursday, the election was to come on Saturday. Thursday, we went to stop it. Like, let us come and do the right thing before we have the elections. We don't want the guild to be in this state again. Let's correct the errors of the past.
And how long have you been in court?
Pardon?
How long have you been in court?
Well, you know, Ghana court. We've been there for about since 2018 October, November. Yeah.
So the guild has no standing at the moment.
The guild has no standing as far as I'm concerned.
Because it's been left in a court.
Yes.
And actors and actresses are suffering.
They are not suffering.
People that should represent them, organizations like the FDA have said they cannot even advertise for alcoholic beverage companies where they could generate some revenue and be brand ambassadors and stuff. That is where organizations like the Actors Guild come in, but it's in court.
Well, I've been contesting the FDA on this, I mean, in both my personal capacity and as a leading voice in the entertainment industry. I've contested them. I've threatened that. In fact, I've spoken to a lawyer to look at the Public Health Act and also the FDA Act and let us see where so that I'm waiting for the lawyer's advice. And if he thinks that we have a point, we'll drag the FDA to court to tell us what law says that cannot endorse.
But the FDA have not said that. George, and you know it. The FDA
what have they said?
They said that if you want to do that, please write to them and consult. Because they need to know
about popular people not. Sadiq, was that all they said about popular people not advertising alcoholic beverages? He said it very clearly.
Initially they said celebrities.
Yes, then they made it popular people.
The popular people was in relation with alcoholic beverages.
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
But are you talking about only alcoholic beverages?
It's only alcoholic beverages. That's where the contention is.
It's alcoholic beverages.
Yeah, you know. So my position on the alcoholic beverage is that it's a moral matter.
Yes.
When I was all over the place, I was hosting listeners' court, I was running sports commentary, I was on TV.
And you were happily endorsing alcohol.
No.
Either way, we just digress.
I was asked.
Let's come back.
I said no. I said no because I was also doing youth programs, and I said I have kids. I wouldn't. If my kids saw me on TV saying that this is the best ticket, and I saw them drinking it, how do I make them stop it?
Let us come back to our main topic.
It's a moral issue.
Let me bring our panel into the conversation. Uncle Ken. So Uncle Abieko is here. We've packed our Actors Guild into court. Someone was just sending me a message that they feel Uncle Abieko's actions is probably because they did not involve him. He offered, and they didn't come to him.
Normally the issue, with most of these.
What do you think? Could this be the issue?
To be honest with you, I am sad, and I am very sad because a lot of the associations, or guilds, or whatever you call them, are in trouble. And you know why I'm sad? It is the same people who are going on and on and on and on and on, get the Creative Arts Bill passed as early as possible. And what does the Creative Arts Bill seek to do? It seeks to bring together all these associations, okay, and deal with issues that affect the industry. But if the associations themselves are in a mess, and even if this bill was passed into an act tomorrow, can you just imagine the confusion that will arise if people from associations are being invited to come on board for meetings and things like that? That is where I find all this unnecessary. Why do we always have issues with ourselves? We always have issues with ourselves. The same people who cannot come together to resolve a matter between themselves are the same people who come at the state wildly and accuse the state of doing this and that and that. I think it's unnecessary until we are able to put things in the right perspective. I do not see any future because I've sat here listening to Abeku, and he's not said anything new. These matters I've heard over and over again over the years, George. And I'm asking myself, so they cannot be resolved.
That's a good point, and that's.
What's the incentive? I mean, what really? So for Abeku, to be the president of Actors Guild, what really was?
Does he still want to? Have you asked?
I said no. You can never say never. Well, I don't know.
I said no.
But then, what was the motive? What was
the motive was that I've been in this industry for years. I've been in it for 50 years. Yes, 50 this year. Mark this poem before me. It's the first poem I wrote in 1970
so
when I was in Form 1. Yes, I'll read it.
Oh, okay.
The Homo, when I went to Form 1. And it won a national writing contest.
You think that he understands that?
That is when Homo.
We experience Homo.
I've been in the
word Homo. I think it still exists.
You are old enough.
I was talking to some students.
Not high school. I was in secondary school.
I was talking to some high school students. They said they didn't understand what Homo was. And I always say that. Look, if you're a natural artist, if it's in you, it's like it's in your DNA, whether you like it or not. Some of your descendants will pick it up. It's not been the best. I mean, in terms of remuneration and all that. If you acting, if you writing, you still have to go and do something else. But we want to build an industry that can take care of its people. That you are an actor, you concentrate on it. You are a writer, you concentrate. You are a cameraman, you concentrate. You are a media person, you concentrate. As is done everywhere. So all my struggles have been to help to build a sustainable industry.
But the more reason why I ask is that some have said that the more is the basis behind a lot of the turmoil that's happening has to do with money. I mean, and if you realize that there are a lot more veteran creative people being involved in this. There's a school of thought that says that because they are no more active than they used to be, it looks like it's another avenue for them to get themselves engaged and to also earn some income, because apparently beyond the sitting allowances and all of that, because at the heart of some of the issues they are facing, I don't know, sometime back we were on a show together with Oscar Provenza, and he leveled certain accusations. I don't know if he mentioned Abiku's name about a certain 10,000 cities they gave to themselves from Ashorkor. Some plenty things. I'll track back and try to get there.
Sadiq, you're a very sensible boy. Yeah. You know why?
Yeah.
You brought up an issue that had escaped me.
Yes. The
in the heart of all this problem, do you realize that, George, the Actors Guild was one guild that was silent on a lot of issues for so long. They were never in the limelight for any controversies per se until
Uncle Ken, sorry. Until we'll continue. You got to hold that thought. We're going straight to the phone lines and speak to Akonodake for a second. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, my brother.
How are you doing, Akonodake?
I'm fine, sir.
Great. The last time we spoke, I remember you had a problem with your leg. I believe it's all better now.
Oh, I'm running. I'm running now. I'm much better.
We give glory to the good Lord Almighty.
This a year ago, yeah.
Yes. It's been a while. It's been a long time. We're discussing the Ghana Actors Guild and this back and forth. They are in court and all those things. And Mr. Abe Kusego is here, and your name came into the conversation at some point.
What have I done?
Well, you haven't really done anything wrong, but we want to understand as a leader in our society and somebody who has followed the arts so much, with all the love that you have for the creative arts, do you find it prudent that at this time, where we are in Ghana today, over the last 2 years or so, we haven't had a representation for our Actors Guild? In fact, technically, there is no Ghana Actors Guild because we've packed it in a law court somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, you have not been listening, so I'm not sure what has been said. So I hope you pardon me if I'm out of context. I'm just being prudent. I hope you understand what I mean.
I understand you totally.
Since I don't have a context, so I'll just respond to your question more directly.
Yes,
and I think that it's unfortunate what has been happening to the Ghana Actors Guild, because I was involved in a mediation process. Which went a long way. I think we sat for almost close to a year. There's a lot of mistrust. About you, George Quaye, you are a member of that mediation committee.
I remember. Yes, I was there.
So you are behaving as if you are not part of it.
No. When I'm seated here, I'm not part of it. Joy FM listeners, they don't play like that. They'll accuse me right now of taking sides. So I'm playing neutral.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, we spent quite a bit of time in trying to bond, create a basis for bonding. But there's a lot of mistrust. I mean, that is it, and there are factions and so on. And we thought that was unfortunate. So it took us quite a lot of time, a lot of mediation effort. But I think that we got on well. Just speaking, from the experience, I mean, it was a very difficult process. And unfortunately, I think there was one major problem that I just hope that we're able to cross. I mean, we're able to deal with. That we didn't come out with a route plan that was acceptable to both sides before an election was held. I mean, I thought that if we were able to do so, and I remember that last meeting of the mediation committee, myself, Mr. Pawansa, Mr. Williado, and so on. Unfortunately, and I think it's instructive for all of us and for all the parties that were involved, that if we had agreed on that, route plan that we had worked on through to go into that election. So I even decided I would not even go to the election at all. I mean, I said I would not because there was no road plan. I felt sad that after so many months of working on this, we didn't have a road plan that was acceptable to both sides to go into an election, which was the following day on the Saturday. So people called me to come and so I came and I made my views very clear on the floor of that conference at the Arts Center. That unfortunately that was it. But anyway, the election went on, and I think that some officials won the election and so on. And then our assumption was that look, things will go on. Later, I met the new executive. I think I was flying around, but later I met the new executive, and I indicated that the important thing for us to look at the bigger picture and so on. But coming to your question, I think that it's unfortunate what is happening to the Ghana Actors Guild. And I'm afraid, if you ask my opinion, I think that we may have to come back to the drawing board. You know, the differences are still there. I think they are deep, and don't let us kid ourselves. You know, there's a process to try and mend, you know, those lines, mend those very difficult feelings people have. I think that is what we deal with it. I would really appeal to Mr. B to say, if there's nothing to do, let's get this matter out of court. Get it out of court. Let's get back to the drawing table and let's try and resolve it. The court will make a pronouncement one way or the other, but the issues will persist. The differences will not have a Ghana access guild. The way to deal with these issues is always to talk, to continue to talk and respect differences. And also know that you cannot always have your own way all the time. And I'm not only referring to a big issue, I'm referring to the other side also. You cannot always have your own way all the time.
Yeah.
You cannot have it. It's not possible. As long as it's fit to mediate. Look, the ANC and the BOS, they gave up. You know, they gave things here and there and let things up, you know, and so on. And finally, we managed to get, you know, what we have as a United South Africa, despite all the differences. No one's feelings about it. But at least they've agreed that, look, this is a model that we work with, you know. And even if apartheid, you know, we could get over apartheid and have this, I don't see why the Ghana Access Bill. So if you ask me my opinion, just speaking from the outside, because I'm not a member of the Ghana Access Bill, you know, I would like really to appeal, and as you know, I'm on retirement, I'm pension now. So what I would like to appeal to them is to a bit, if it's there. You know, I didn't listen to all the things that you said, but if you can just take the matter out of court, get back to the drawing table. Let's try and get, you know, some people, a few more elders and so on to sit around. Let's come back and then, you know, otherwise, no, this thing will continue to persist and will continue. And it's so unfortunate, you know, to the acting industry. That is what I would like to say. And I would like, if I would like to really appeal to him. Let's get the matter out of court. Let's come back again to the table. We tried after the mediation effort. I remember we came again. We met in Professor Sutherland at this house. You know, we tried again.
Yeah, they mentioned it.
There was some understanding and agreement that again things fell out of the way and so on and so forth. You know, building an organization is a difficult thing. You know, and if you have, all of us have interests and so on. But if you want to build an organization, you should also be able to temper your interest and say, look, I'm able to give up. I'm able to give this for the ultimate interest of the organization. And that is my biggest appeal. You know, get back to the running, back again to a drawing board and begin the process of trying to deal with these issues. There are issues related to constitution, issues related to this, and so on and so on. There are many things. And so I remember when we were sitting on the mediation committee, I said, look, we said to them, bring all the constitutions you are talking about. We are talking about constitution from this way, from 20 days, 20 days, 20 that. They bring all of them. But we began a process, I remember, of putting together a constitution. And what I would have preferred that would have come out with, eventually it was agreed on both sides, is as we suggested, is look, we have a very difficult situation. So do you know what? In this type of things, it's always good to work in a collective. So look, you know, let's have a national steering committee. A national steering committee that will work for about a year. You still have your elections, there'll be a president, there'll be so and so, but they'll work with a bigger body. So they'll be part of the whole building and healing process over a year until we are able to say that, and we'll have a full election maybe after a year, and then say that, okay, you know, everybody comes together. But unfortunately, that agreement was not agreed on. That was not agreed on at the last meeting of the mediation committee. We felt very, very sad. Myself, Paul, and Sir William, we felt very, very, very sad. I must say. You know, but these are instructive again lessons.
Mr. Humudaka, let me ask a controversial question.
Go ahead.
Then we'll wrap up on that point. You've met both sides. You've heard from both sides. You've interacted with both sides. Which side do you think is being most difficult in this matter?
Oh no! That's a difficult question.
Yes, I know it's a difficult question.
You know how.
Because do you know the problem? The problem is that both sides accuse each other. Even on this show, I'm getting a lot of messages from the other side, and there are a lot of things that are being leveled here and there that I cannot even read on air or say on air. You understand? That is why I like the appeal that you've given to Mr. Abe Kusego. Take it out of court. Let's have. What would you say to the other side too?
Oh, like I said in the statement in what I said is that look, you cannot always win when you hold on to your position. If you are in a process of reconciliation, you cannot do that. We should learn to give up certain things. You cannot do that. You cannot win. You cannot come to the table and say, this is the position I have, and then you continue with that same position. You cannot do that. We have to give up certain things, but based on principle, based especially on principle. So I will not come here and say that this side is this or this side has that. I will not do that. I will never do that. If you are in the process, if you are mediating a process, I will never say that this side is wrong or this side is wrong.
Right.
So I will not say that.
That's a good point. Mr. Akunodake will say thank you very much, and we hope we can have you in the studio one of these days. So,
anytime.
We need to look at this coronavirus and its effect on our entertainment industry. So, God willing, maybe next week we'll see what we can arrange.
Hey, you want to be coronavirus? We're so much of coronavirus already. Let the medical people speak. Let them speak.
No. We will speak to our space. But Uncle Ken has a question for you, Mr. Akunodake. Uncle Kennedy has a question for you.
Akunu, good evening.
My brother, how are you?
I am fine.
I love you on Thursday evening.
You listen to the show. Nice. Yes. Akunu, I am a bit worried here. If you are not going to come out to tell us who you think is derailing the, efforts of Unison, then you have no business telling us that somebody should withdraw the case from court. Because then how is it going to be resolved?
The point I'm making is this. You can go to court. The court will pronounce. At the end of the day, you will not have solved the problems the Ghana Act is. You will not. Take it from me. The differences will persist. They will still be there. That's all I'm saying. And you can win in court, but that doesn't mean that you've won the moral high ground. The court will pronounce, but the differences will persist. What do we want at the end of the day? What do we really want the Ghana Act to be at the end of the day? And this is the point I'm making. And I'm saying that when we met, when we were trying to mediate this process under the framework of the Ghana Culture Forum and so on, we made a lot of progress. Both sides would agree to it and attest to it. They will. They will agree and attest to it. I think very recently the Ghana Culture Forum, I'm no more in leadership of the Ghana Culture Forum, but recently the leadership of Ghana Culture Forum tried another process to try and get the two sides to come together and so on. I'm not sure how it was fully resolved. But the issue is in court. Fine. You can go all the way to let the court continue its process. You can do that. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure that you would have, won the moral high ground. I doubt it. I doubt it very much. I think that I think that you better, get the issue out of God. Come back again to a round table. Let's look at what the issues are. How tenuous they may be.
Thank you.
They may be. You will make some progress.
Zakunodake, we'll have to end it here. We're super grateful for your time. Like I said, we'll have to find time to invite you into the studio.
No problem.
Thank you so very much, sir. God bless. Thank you. 0244340437. You can send us a WhatsApp message, be a part of our conversation. Uncle Ken, you had the floor, or did you finish? So that we can. Oh, you were actually on the floor. Yes.
You wanted to make a point. I don't know if you're still.
Yeah. I just wanted to make a point about how. I wouldn't use the word docile, but relatively quiet the Actors Guild was until when this issue of them being entitled to a share of the what was that?
The levies.
The levies. That's the point. Abu, when they finally got wind of the fact that they were entitled to a share of the levies money, that's when everybody started getting excited and wanting to be part of. Hello, Abeku, am I lying?
Yeah. You see, because the reason I asked that is that it keeps coming up, and at the end of the day, I think that the thing that people don't usually talk about is how people come into these organizations for a certain interest. Either they are looking to use it to position themselves for a certain visa racketeering that has been happening that they don't talk about. It happens across board, music, whatever, and stuff like that. It's things that we speak about behind the scenes. or
so you and Uncle Ken are saying that art associations in this town are racketeering vehicles.
It is not.
Did you hear me talking about that? Did you hear me talking about? I haven't heard Ken say anything. Did you hear me talking about
opportunity for you to? You can do it now, Uncle Ken. Did you hear me? I'm sitting right next to you.
Did you hear me talking about that?
You not.
I did not talk about him.
No. He did not. Uncle Ken did not speak about Mr. Racketeer.
One of the things that you often do not see them take a lead on, maybe trying to enhance the thought leadership of industry,
right?
Trying to institute certain things. It's always about that. And when they come into leadership, there's always something related to that. There's a huge issue on ASOG.
Yes,
that's a huge issue. A lot of us are familiar on a certain chop.
Yes, there are about 10 ASOG cases in court now.
Exactly.
Exactly. So the point I keep asking is, okay, and it supports the assertion by that school of thought that says that a lot of these older artists or creative people get involved in these organizations as a way of staying alive or finding another source of livelihood, because it looks like quite clearly they cannot be able to make more money from what they used to do, you know, and it comes out like that. So that's why I wanted to find out what's really, because I keep on asking, what's the incentive? There's nothing there. We are doing it for the industry and everything, but what's this entrenched positions people are taking if it's not because of the money? And every time, come down to it, behind the scenes, it boils down to a certain money that they are
the renewed interest.
The money factors come in.
Right.
Yes, and I agree with Ken. It's, for instance, ASOC. You know, initially, it's the musicians who started fighting for their rights with the levy and royalties and all that. The musicians fought. And then the levy matter came up. And then at a point, then the film producers heard of it. And so they also started agitating. And it was Professor, then the chairman of the National Commission for Culture, Professor Hagen. Professor Hagen, who instructed that the producers should also be given their part. So the producers enjoyed for some time. And then Odre Mensah, who was then the president of GAG, head of it. You know, so GAG head that the producers were being given some money. So he also started agitating that actors were also entitled to it.
You see, Joshua is laughing.
On the levy.
He was acting as Abuaji in those days.
There was I didn't get anything.
Party.
You know, so they also came in. You know, then later ASOG was formed, and I got involved in ASOG.
Yes,
I became the secretary.
Yes,
but then I realized that everything was going to the. So I started agitating for performers to also get their share.
Correct.
Okay, let me find out.
I started agitating. You know,
going forward. Okay.
So I started agitating. The performers were also entitled to their share, because the law said 21% must go to performers, but everything was being given to producers. So I fought. Even on the board, because there were 9-member board, 7 of them were producers. There were only 2 of us as actors, Ode and I. So we fought and fought. Eventually, it was agreed that performers should also. In fact, I called a lawyer to interpret the law to us. Lawyer Nakai interpreted and insisted. Then the corporate administrator Antia also insisted that the performers were entitled to their share.
Let's leave ASOG for now, because ASOG discussions will be long.
As I said,
ASOG discussions will be long. Let's leave that for now. So we need to wrap up on this one, because there are other things that we need to. We have barely 40 minutes.
I think that the only way we can sort of bring a certain seriousness to all these creative arts industrial groups and organizations is to institute more stricter ways of assessing the funds that is due them and how it's applied or how it's spent. That's one.
Sadiq, I'll not agree with you. First and for me,
no, for them. I think as an organization.
No, for them. Look, when you look at the history,
yeah,
right, it's not going to stop now.
No, it's just
No. Let me tell you why. When you look at these issues did not start today. Abeku is here. He knows. Ask him how many times he has been in court. How many times?
Because
the issues are not going to end now. What I think we need. This is when my opinions come in. The listeners will come and beat me.
No, you're allowed. You're allowed. I mean,
what I think we need. It's about time we asked the NPP government, President Nadu, where the Creative Arts Court they promised us are. One. Because I'm sure sure that they knew about some of these things and how it is crippling our industry. That was what probably informed the idea to put in the manifesto that they would give us creative arts courts so that we can resolve some of these matters quickly. Hold on, let me land. And once those courts are institutionalized, heads should start rolling. They should go through the cases quickly, because if these things, nobody bites in this country.
In the absence of the courts, the creative arts courts, there are still general courts that is available for the likes of Uncle Abeku to still pursue. He's already in court.
But that is the problem. Those courts will last forever.
George, I'm saying that until these organizations find ways and means of making it stricter for people to come in and chop their money or to hide their funds and to misuse it, and begin to make it discourage people. I don't set up like a lot of requirements that will make it like a stricter requirement to get in the first place as a leader. You know, it will begin to discourage them. But the more they see that, there are loopholes, there's a certain assured or guaranteed funds that is coming in. Even give them KPIs. Because all what they do is that they are not adding
everything you are saying
the funds that they are making.
Everything you are saying is true. And look, I'll say it today, they can come up. In all honesty, a lot of those that are there, some of these problems, they are triggered by greed. Everybody wants to be the one to hold the power. Because I can't just hold the power.
Hold the money. Say it right.
Thank you very much. The power is the money.
Hold the money.
And anyway, Sadiq, let's bring Rasta in. We have to wrap up quickly on this one. Rasta hasn't spoken. My blood is boiling.
It should boil. I mean, it has to, because the issues that confront the Ghana Actors Guild. If
no, he's talking to you. He says focus on the money.
You see, if
put on your shit,
listeners,
put it on. Fireman.
See, I've been very quiet, dozing in and out, because you see, if listeners had the benefit of, and journalists can do this favor to themselves, free content, they should go and film the entrance leading to the office of Ghana Actors Guild. You see,
where is the guild?
It's inside Musica.
Oh, okay.
If you look at the burglar proof, and you see, when you watch Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the cobwebs, you see that one. I think they took the inspiration from the entrance of the Ghana Actors Guild. A whole fimpa. I don't know if the people who sweep music, when they reach there, they jump like they.
Are they the ones to sweep the Actors Guild?
Relax. I'm saying that, you see, there's communal spirit.
The people who sweep music, are they the ones to sweep
Actors Guild? Can you relax? The point is,
maybe they engage cleaners for the entire.
The point is, when you look at their entrance, this thing that Uncle Abeku is sitting here and explaining, it's more like a side attraction to how messed up the situation of the Ghana Actors Guild is. I think 2 years ago we're here.
Yes.
He came and then explained with some documents and some meetings, and it was sorry then, and it is not better now. It's actually grown roots. He's in court, and Uncle Akunin Dake says that he should bring it home. To which home?
To the confused
Let's
home.
wrap it up.
No, he needs to.
So the organization that has replaced Culture Forum is Creative Arts Council. Is that it?
No, relax.
Gentlemen,
I've not mentioned.
Let's wrap it up quickly. There are two more issues we need to look at. So quickly,
yeah. So
please.
Again, please, as for the court, if you want to set up an fundraising event, some of us would want to donate for you to remain there for a very long time. Because if you lose guard where you come out to that case from there, it will be a complete waste of time. Because listen, only the law can fix the issues that confront the Ghana Actors Guild. Only the law. If anybody has superior wisdom, they should look at your reasons for calling all of you guys there and deal with the issue there. Because again, if Ashok is a no-go area, because they will grow there in the court, whether it is a creative arts court or the fast track court at Den Haag where they jail Chastela or the Cocoa Court, they will grow there. But the Actors Guild, even the personnel, you see, the issues are too many and mushroomed. Why? Because of some money that some gainfully unemployed, overly entitled.
How can
people,
somebody be gainfully unemployed?
Oh, go to ask Ghana Actors Guild. They are there. You understand? People who eat on their fame. You understand? It is not taxable. So they are gainfully unemployed. Please, Uncle Abeku, go to court and remain there. They should come there. They don't even have lawyer fair to even come the court there. When he got to filing of his, he forgot. An association that a whole vice president absconds and remove her SIM card from her phone and leave you people to the wind. Yo, challenge.
Well, Uncle Abeku.
Yes.
We're going to end it here. But before you leave, I would like your thoughts on one very quick topic, something else, something I think we should touch on. It would be a travesty if we don't touch on it.
Right.
This man passed today.
On a warm summer.
His name is Kenny Rogers. Kenny Ray Rogers. Gentlemen, Kenny Rogers passed today. Uncle Ken, this one has to start from you.
Uncle is angry.
Sad. But like I always say, these musicians, their music lives on.
Forever.
And that's the good thing about the musicians.
Yeah.
And especially if you made good music like Kenny Rogers did. May he rest in perfect peace.
Rasta, Kenny is gone.
Yeah, I never met him, you know. But,
say you don't even know.
Yeah, I wish him all the best.
You were just asking me off air. Who is Memuano?
You know when we came in, George? When we came in, so over to met Uncle Ken and said, Uncle Ken, they say some Rasta, some jazz man or jazz musician is dead. And then I said, oh, Ken Rogers jazz. And Uncle Ken said, Ken Rogers is not jazz. You are a DJ. You're supposed to know. He was trying to listen. And I can give him the signature.
That's right.
Go away.
Yes.
Kenny Rogers is first.
Yes, I mean, I think it's sad, of course, for us when any any person in this industry knows of. It's sad news.
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers, I think that he drew us into countryside.
He did.
Yeah,
he did.
Country music, and we've enjoyed him. So now his music, like Ken said, his music lives on. Those are the kind of. I'm sure in another 500 years, people will still be playing.
Definitely.
Kenny Rogers. But let me just quickly say that the Actors Guild issue.
Yeah.
It's resolvable. Yes,
an appeal has been made to you to take it out of court.
Yes.
Are you going to do that? Are you taking it out of court?
I would say yes. Subject.
Yes. Subject. A lot of
subject. You know, Fisher, as I said, is my brother.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, since this thing, if he's listening to me or if anybody is listening, can tell him. Unfortunately, since this thing, he's drawn himself far
social distances,
wider than social distance. And I've said that I'm no longer interested in being the president of the Ghana Actors. My interest is to see to it that we rebuild it. I'm very busy. I'm very busy. I have other things on my hands. The Methodist Church has a Christian arts department. I'm the chairman of that. The whole, and I have serious assignments with that.
Hold on. Hold on. What does it take to be president of the Actors Guild? Actually, I'm interested.
Yes.
I want to contest.
So go and find out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm serious.
So we are not
I want to contest.
I want to contest.
Yes, I want to contest.
Not to have been a member of good standing.
Define good standing.
Good standing, of course, you've paid your dues up to.
That one we can write one check.
The check should not bounce. And then of course your contribution to the guild.
Oh, that one I've been in the meeting, so I've been
also to the entertainments, and you qualify. Honestly, you qualify.
Thank you very much.
You qualify.
You make a
because let me read this poem.
Oh, your poem, please to the International Poetry Day. Let's hear you.
50 years ago, I went to Form 1, Ghana National College.
Wow, what a mistake!
No.
Yes.
That's which else were you?
I was in Afedu.
Oh, your parents didn't know fan spam? Or they couldn't go that far? Your parents, they didn't know fan spam?
Afedu is a bush boys.
It's okay, you read the poem. We have to
forget about it.
Let's hear the poem,
I saw this advert.
Yeah.
There was then a magazine for creative arts, creative writing. It was called Talents for Tomorrow.
Oh, I had one.
Yes, and they advertised a national writing contest. And I decided to try my hands. So my experiences as a homo, if you know what a homo is, I mean, for those of you who went to SHS, I hear you don't know. George, you were in secondary school or senior high school?
I was in the school.
So I wrote this poem and fired it. And one morning at assembly, after the normal Monday morning, after all the normal things, then the headmaster J.J. Misakane said, I'm John Sego. Before John Sego, I got scared because usually when J.J. Misakane calls you at assembly, means you in some kind of trouble. So from one boy, then my headmaster John Sego 3 times before I could react. Then he said, come over. So I went to the stage. Then he asked, have you written any poem? I said, I couldn't remember immediately. I said, yeah, I think so. I said, you went for some competition. I said, yes. Then he announced to the whole school that John Sego won the first prize in the national writing, not children's writing contest, national writing contest.
If you had gone to France, you wouldn't have won.
How could I?
Sadiq, stop interrupting. Let's hear the poem.
So, and then he asked for evidence. I had to go and bring the exercise book, which I wrote, because some of the things were too big for a 13-year-old boy. The homo is a fool. This is the verdict. You do not contest. You are told you have lost your way. You admit it and keep your peace. All these strange, fierce faces blowing hot air into your eyes that pretend with threats promising to melt your brain would one day be your mentors. The homo has no choices. It can be sad, annoying but fun sometimes. Foolishly, he waits for his master's instructions one day at a time to engage in acts he may not always like, but must love, even those that runs pains through him. He must insult himself, extend it to his family, to the chief of his tribe, admit that he is not a Ghanaian. He is taught to smoke, drink, to touch breasts, make love, all in his mind. Homoing is only the welcome party to Ghana Call. Ghana Call is Ghana College, Ghana National College. Homoing is only the welcome party to Ghana Call. Soon it's over. It is fleeting. The day after homoing, he becomes a student, and the struggles for his place in this life begins. It's a long struggle. That was the poem that won me the. So I've stayed in for all this while.
What did you win for prize?
Prize, they brought me
bread.
No, what do you call it? Mass sets.
Okay.
Mass set and some books, you know, and some books, and added, I think at that time, 10 CDs or so, which lasted for 2 terms.
Oh.
You know.
Uncle, thank you very much. We're grateful. We'll invite you again, and we hope that you take Akunodake's advice and take it out of God. I'll personally be calling you and encourage you to do that. And then I'll come for advice so that you can help me package my bid for the president. For the presidency. We'll do that.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me extend greetings to the members of the Heritage Directorate of the Methodist Church.
Exactly.
Yes. And of course, the people of the Calvary Methodist Church.
And then
thank you very much. And all students of Ghana National College and Wesley Grammar. I attended 2 schools. Why are you and those?
Your microphone is off at this point. So we're going straight to the phone lines, and we're going to have a chat with another luminary in the industry. We're speaking to James Abuaje, who is with the Film Producers Association of Ghana. James.
Yeah.
Chairman, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing great, and you?
We give glory to God every day. Please, you would have to lower the volume on your radio set a little bit. It's giving us some feedback. And
okay.
Yes.
Is it okay now? Because
yeah, I think we can manage it now.
Okay.
Well, we'll just be brief and quick with this one. What is the current state of the Film Producers Association in Ghana?
I would say we are on crossroads. We are in transition.
Explain, please. What is crossroads? What's transition? Transition from where to where?
From the old school to the new school. The technology we used to have, or we used to employ back in the days, into the new technology. Because when we started the movie industry, it was on reel. Then it came to tape, VCD, DVD, Blu-ray. When it comes to production, the format has changed. And now we are in the digital age. So the challenges are totally different. The challenges of today are totally different from yesteryears.
Is Firepark in court?
Come again?
Is Firepark in court?
In court?
Yes.
No.
You don't have any case. Nobody has dragged you to court. You don't have any case in court at the moment. What as from your president of the Film Producers Association of Ghana, what in your opinion is the biggest need or interest of your membership?
To fix the industry to its past glory, and to be able to employ the new technologies and make the maximum out of whatever we are doing.
Okay, that's pretty broad, because when you're saying technology, especially in the film area, technology has really changed. I mean, it's broad. I mean, people are doing 3D movies. I'm yet to see any full-length animation, for instance, from Ghana. So when you say to change technology, moving from the old school to the new school, you're in transition. Exactly what are you saying? Can we look at the tangibles?
Okay. You see, Ghanaians are expecting much from us. because they've seen what is happening elsewhere, and they want us to do same. But some of the things that we are supposed to do are beyond us. So the little that we can do, what we can do, that is what is within our capacity. We should be able to do that. And what is beyond us, whatever it takes, we should be ready to take it on. For instance, Ghanaians have been talking about the quality of our movies, the story, the casting, and everything. I don't think those things, they need rocket science to fix them. It is something that we can do easily. So we are educating ourselves. We are talking to ourselves. We are trying to stop cutting corners. We are trying to mobilize funding for the industry. We are trying to understand the psyche of Ghanaians and understand what is going on elsewhere, so that whatever decision that we take will be a decision that can last for some time to come.
Quite interesting. We'll have to find time and invite you into the studios of Joy FM so that we can have a more detailed conversation, because a lot of people in the industry do not understand the work that you do, and a lot of your membership have complained that you haven't really represented their interest well. So we'll have to find time to bring you into the studio so we can have a more robust conversation. Would that be okay?
Oh, yeah, you are always welcome. I'm ever ready.
Grateful. Thank you very much for your time. We're grateful. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend. That was James Abuaje, the president of the Film Producers Association of Ghana. And our conversation is going to continue. One of us is getting ready to enter into Parliament. But of course, Joy Learning is intensifying teaching lessons in these times, as the reported COVID-19 cases in Ghana has compelled schools to close down, which has been a big problem for a lot of parents. So kindly tune in. Just tune in to channel on Joy Learning and access the classroom lessons and other educational programs. We can assure you that with Joy Learning, your children will not be left behind in classroom teachings while in the house. Do not allow COVID-19 to prevent your child from learning. Joy Learning has you covered. With Joy Learning, education is secured, convenient, and easily accessible anywhere, anytime, in the comfort of their homes. Get a multi-TV digital box for your kids now. Joy Learning. Just keep learning. So let me quickly do this one as well. It is with a heavy heart that the Owusu family announces the death of their son, brother, father, and loved one, Jerry Quaye Owusu, aka Jerry Booz. He passed on to glory on Wednesday, 18th March 2020. We do appreciate the outpouring of love shown to those he left behind and are most grateful. We would like to inform all that in light of the ban on public gathering as announced by the President of the Republic due to the unprecedented health scare of COVID-19, the coronavirus, there will be no observance of the 1 week of his passing. All plans have been suspended until such time as it is safe to plan his funeral and give him a befitting send-off. Thank you. Stay safe. And may his soul rest in perfect peace. And let us get on to our very last conversation for the day.
Hey yo, mama me fine, na me kind, me travel box double fine. The second day, me no matter about who put dying. Oh, Baba, to me, come and show me to mine. Your sash is share. Who put what? You mean, contra moi. To me, too, no one is them frema, et ma moi. Me the take care, repent toi. The real me the two, et me na mata, I don't buy. So me don't comfort, na me se mada. Me the obros are so damn ya, me no papa. The ball do swam, my name will stay faster. The one am what is that is some chef your who ye now when me Abraham no when me the so yeah madam ma ti play ya load no say mess my apa me so my pet my face.
And his name is Bice Oseiku. Many of you know him as a boy. He was he just stepped off. Well, he finished his tenure as president of the Musicians Union of Ghana, and the man wants to go to parliament. And some people seem to have a problem with it. Uncle Ken, are you one of those who seem to have a problem with Obo's entry or Obo's bid, or his desire to go represent us as our lawmaking body?
Definitely not. Why should I?
Why do some people seem to have a problem?
I don't know.
And they're now putting up all sorts of stories and all manner of...
George.
Yes, sir.
I was one person saying this is about 8 years ago when Obo declared his interest in the presidency of Musica. I was one person who backed him as against then Jedu Bleambule, also wanting to be president of Musica. And Obo came on the scene, campaigned, won, and became president of Musica for the 8 years that he was entitled to. Was he not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody can have issues with the way people do things. And Obo was no exception. I mean, people had issues with him in his term of office as Musica president. And I remember when this matter of the 2 million Ghana cedis thing came up, me, Ayitego, was host of this show then. And you raised lots of issues. And I mean, we discussed the matters then. You know, everybody wanted to know how he was able to get this. People, the conspiracy theories were so many as to how he came by this money, how he was being utilized. And so I remember one day after one of our shows on a Saturday, I was at Jamestown buying fish when I got a call from Obo asking where I was, whether I was home, because he wanted to bring me certain documents concerning this whole
the 2 million.
So I told him that, Sunday morning I was at Jamestown buying fish. Obo chased me to Nshona.
So you have the documents?
Yes. Obo chased me to, and he had 2 sets, one for me and one for Nyai, to give to Nyai. So we go through the documents and see what... I think all he wanted to do was to help us get to terms with what had actually transpired with that 2 million thing. So I got the copy, I read through my copy and everything. And you could still have issues, questions to ask if you wanted to, you know. But then these things went on and on and on and on and on, and he was being accused left, right, center. And then came the audit by KPMG.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
When this audit came up, again, I got copies, I read the thing. And as for me, this is the way I go about things. If the law says A and you do B, then I can confidently come and say you did not go according to law. So if Obo wrote a proposal, got these monies to utilize, and utilized the monies as he stated in the proposal that gave him the money, and he was then audited and nothing was found wrong in his dealings, I am not the one who is supposed to sit somewhere and accuse him. And so ever since I saw that audit report, I have closed the chapter on this 2 million matter, because I said to myself, why should I raise issues now? If I have issues and I want to go to court, that will be a different thing. But if I don't, and this is all I have as an audit report that shows no malice involved, and I find it so uncool for people to start raising such issues today. After so many years. How long has this been? This
this has been
7 years.
Yeah, also.
Also.
Yeah.
And now that he is aiming to get to Parliament, people raise this issue. And baseless, because what are you standing on to raise the issues? If you have anything that you're standing on to raise the issues, show us. Otherwise, we go by the audit report that did not find any adverse wrongdoing on the part of Obo and leave him in peace to go and contest his seat. And if he wins his seat, all the best to him.
2 million.
Rasta.
Yeah, it's rather unfortunate that we have just like an hour to deal with.
You have what, an hour?
Oh yes, just about
10 minutes,
14 minutes to deal with.
10 minutes.
Go ahead, Rasta. Instead of talking, you are worrying about time. All the time you are wasting time to worry. Go ahead. Or are you one of those who don't want to go in Parliament?
You know, the last time I saw no. The last time I actually saw Obuo was I was roaming around the East Legon area, and then I realized that I shot petrol. So for look sharp and enter in house. When I got there, I actually regretted going there because the pressure inside. So when I was leaving, I didn't even Charlie later. You see, the two people who have brought this miscarriage of justice to bear on us, Mr. Chris Waddle and D Black. Very, very top class miscreants when it comes to matters that
use that word again.
Miscreants.
That when it comes to people are wasting my time. When it comes to matters concerning the union, the Musicians Union of Ghana. Now, for the record, somebody like Chris Waddle has never ever in his life met a boy in person before. I'll tell you this for a fact.
He's not a member of musical.
No, let alone be a member of the. You listen. If you know Chris Waddle.
Wait, do you know that for a fact?
Yes, I'm telling you. I am telling you. Now, if you know Chris Waddle and how his brain works, and how you could be driving with him in his car, and then you get to Kutuka, and then he will tell you that he's coming. You'll be sitting in his car, then he will tell you that he was coming. Then you'll be sitting in the car and you call him. His phone is off, and then the next moment he's in America.
And then the car,
you'll be there, and somebody will come for it. Listen, I'm not. I mean, there's too much at stake here. I can't spend the whole day on D Black. I don't know why he retweeted and added his kind of intellect to what Chris Waddle has.
He may have his reason.
But you see, I have personally used my small data to ask him relevant questions anytime issues that concern the union pop up on his Twitter feed. And every time it's almost like he has other things to do, so he would shy away from the conversation because I ask questions to make nonsense of his sins. D Black, one of the finest artist managers Africa has ever developed. Okay, successful artist manager. Says me.
But and says me to one again.
Yes. So, but when it comes to matters that concern the union, he's as illiterate as a brick. And he doesn't seem to understand that the union is a welfare body that once, Dambule, somebody mentioned his name here, who sat in this chair, inspired by somebody who was crazy back in the day. Ambule or somebody like that. He said it, and when Ambule said he didn't hear that his inspiration came from a madman for that song. So you see, Ambule or somebody like that staged a coup. Do you know who they ousted in a coup in the history of Musicians Union of Ghana? Ejakonimu. He was president. He was ousted in a coup, palace coup in Musica. The kind of things that have happened that has been recorded in the history of the Musicians Union of Ghana. Up to when Alhaji Sidi Kubai personally sacked me from the union office because of some other thing that would need a year to, So when Madam Dinah Hobson was president, and I think Obuo was vice then, and myself, Kiki Banson, and Albert Mensah went to that place to go and observe proceedings and consider joining the union because we have been called. We had old men, elder folks or older folks, musicians. The most notable, the loudest on that day, unfortunately, all of them have died as we speak. What's his name? Papa Yankson.
Yeah.
Comfortano. And there's somebody else too. They are dead. Now they were on the floor that day. That the levies that time, because Cosga had been disbanded, the levies, blank levies, was going to Musica to be dispersed among musicians. We were there, and then some of us, I stood on the floor of the house and said that, listen, the musicians union, that building. I said that, listen, the monies that are in, let's hire professionals to run the union and then to deal with our copyright issues, the issues that Rexoma was espousing here. Some of us, about 8-9 years ago, was preaching this on the house. The elderly people said, no, Yenchendi, and I'm quoting somebody like Papa Yansin, God bless you, so Yenchendi, they chop the money. When Obo came, listen, if Obo is giving me 1 cent, I have to sign in like 3 different offices. I was the assistant producer of the Ghana Music Week Festival.
Yeah, so how much do you get
for what
you signed in 3 different?
Don't get your blood boiling. Obo will be here next week, so you just summarize your point so we can wrap up. We're almost out of time today. Yeah.
Those gentlemen, 2 gentlemen who have led the whole country, because I've had 2 serious people, successful people who've got nothing to do with the arts, call me and then go like, now why then I'll do Obuechi, and I put them in their place. Okay, now the larger Ghanaian populace out there they fed rumors of Obuo having been ABC, and you see, it is that horrible. We sat in this town, and then someone like John Dumelo was cited to have stolen a V8. And till date, no policeman has arrested him because it is not true. Why do we kill the young people who are sacrificing their lives and their future to indulge in something that, they shouldn't? The quality of war, administratively, energy-wise, and listen, if he's coming here next week, we would have an opportunity to itemize the positives, the unprecedented positives that he's brought to bear on the ill fortunes of the union. Yeah. Then we can, and worst of all is somebody like Chris Wado, who is an American, you see, he doesn't have a vote in the constituency that Obo is going to vote. Most of the people who are most of the people, including myself, do not even vote there. So how dare you sit somewhere and try to just put sand in somebody's gari whilst you do not have any idea? The reason of Obo's posters are flying all over is because it's taken 2 years of a lot of sweat and money. Some of us who are that close are aware of the efforts he put into getting to where he's at, on the verge of being, voted to be their main candidate, MP, member of parliamentary candidate, and then you sit on social media and malign me. I don't even know why he's not going to go.
Rasta, we'll end it here. Like I said, keep it short.
1 hour.
Uncle Ken, we'll end it here. Obo is going to be here next week. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Show produced by Philip Nye. Sadiq, we haven't heard you on this one. Let's hear you quickly on it so we can wrap it up.
For me, next week when Obo comes, I think we'll take it up more. Yeah. You're right. Obo is a brilliant guy. Yeah. What I thought and what I shared on social media was the fact that I thought that for somebody who was also interested and knew that he had political ambitions, it was in his interest to have ensured that all these things that Uncle Kelly is saying had been really been put to bed very well. Then, well,
what was he supposed to do?
Let's wait for next week. We'll see how it is. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Uncle Ken, Kwame Rasta, Sadiq Abdullah. But we're going to end with a track by DJ Ubete featuring Dope Nation and Strongman called this one, Jumpa. What's the title? Yeah, it's DJ Ubete. That's it. Yeah, DJ Ubete. Good music from there. All right, my name is GQ. Catch me Monday, 10 p.m. We'll talk loud and play loud music. Good night.